All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I know we are. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the best dang sports show going right now on YouTube, the Matt and Todd Show. Brought to you here by Primetime Sports Network. You can find me over at Big Matt 1977. That's Primetime capital SEC, bringing you all the SEC coverage today. Guys, we are on day number 3. We had a fantastic day yesterday, had a lot of commentary going on, had a lot of good questions and topics to talk about, even had some hot takes from Keo Spikes talking about South Carolina's going to upset Georgia. So lots of good things that went on yesterday. Coach Leach, he comes out and just takes questions first. I mean, what kind of guy is he? He's wild. Really enjoy all him and his commentary and how he kind of likes to do things is just kind of different, and that's okay. So right now, we got SEC this morning. Let's go ahead and just jump right in here and tune in. And again, thank you guys for stopping by and rapping with me this morning. Big Matt Diamond Dean should be on the way over here in just a little bit. And we're going to kick things right off with Coach Pittman. And then I think we're going to have Coach Pittman's going to be first. And then who's going to be on? Coach Pittman at 8 o'clock. And then it's Kirby. Yeah. Kirby will be on about 9:30. Diamond Dean should be in the house. Now, I'm not going to make it for Coach Napier before 12. And then Coach Stoops will be on at about 1:30. Not going to make that. But we are going to bring you all the Sam Pittman talk, have his players with him, and we're going to bring you Coach Kirby Smart on the best thing going today, baby. Live SEC Media Day coverage with Primetime Sports Network. All right, we appreciate you, and let's just get right in here and see what the guys are talking about. SEC this morning right now is on. We're about 5 minutes out from Coach Pittman.
You don't get to this level without having a little bit of gamble in you.
I think Sam Pittman would absolutely do it too. You see the crowd behind us, and Sam Pittman's right there.
I think Kirby would do it. They all make enough to easily absorb the loss of credit card
Do you think Billy Napier would do it?
Good question. Yeah. Everybody makes that.
He's the original.
So, the two-part question. It sounds to me like you have something either you want us to tell you about last night's version, or that you might actually have the video from last night's version. I don't know if you have it. I think we played last year's video on the air. Right?
No, I don't think it was before. I was just curious. The end results last night. Who wanted Cole potentially, and who had to take it?
Well, first and foremost, let's thank Jim Nagy, the executive director of Roost, the Senior Bowl, took us out last night. So no credit card roulette for the actual meal, but we did it for the first round of drinks at the bar after we got back. And the ironic part about it is the guy that stopped with it doesn't even drink. So he loses and has to go buy everybody else's drinks at the bar. So he buys them and delivers them and then leaves.
You know what? He was a good man.
But he's a fair loser, too.
Oh, he's the worst hitter. I love Cole Kubelik, but you could tell that he knew going in that he was going to lose it, and sure enough, they ended up doing it. So,
what else we got? Any other?
That was it, gentlemen. I mean, I could ask you about TV gasp moments, but we got about 2.5 minutes. So I'm interested in your expectations for the teams and coaches we're going to hear from today.
I'll start with Mark Stoops, and the reason why I tell the story every single year. I was in Kentucky football a couple of years ago. It might have been 2017 when they first had a real good run. And the reason why it originated and it was born in a hallway at SEC Media Days because Mark Stoops had just come off that podium over at Media Days, and he was upset. Not a single person was giving his team any credit. It was kind of a dead press conference. And he came up behind the scenes and he was upset. Just kind of frothed at the mouth and talked. He gets all red. I didn't really think, when are we going to get some respect around here? And I realized, I was like, oh, he knows his team is good. And so it's those type of interactions you have with the coaches kind of off the microphone that you understand how good that team is. And he's a horrible poker player in that aspect. He's going to tell you how good his team is, just his interactions. So I'm curious to see how Stoops
is an interesting contrast and dynamic, right? Because you have Mark Stoops, who is going into his 10th season. Can you believe he's the second longest tenured coach in the conference? 10th SEC Media Day. So he knows how to handle this situation. And then you have Billy Napier, a first-year guy in this league, going through this experience for the very first time. So I think it'll be fun to kind of watch those two guys and how they approach today's, going through this car wash type of feeling that you go through. And then obviously,
Pittman's always fun, but then the champion's here.
yeah, I mean, you talking about a guy that should be feeling it. It's Kirby Smart in the backyard.
He has a little bit of swagger to him because he never has some swagger.
Yeah, but I don't
feel like it's over the top. Like, I think it's a proper amount of confidence. But sometimes he comes in here and like he's dialed in, ready to go. Or will he just kind of say,
what he learned from Nick Saban, and that's speaking to his team through the media about how last year is in the rearview mirror. This year, we got to find a way to avoid that complacency and fight, be as hungry as we were last year.
we've had some fun. Wraps up day 3 for us here. We'll be live 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for
I can't believe it's the final day tomorrow.
It's like the quickest, longest week in the world. But it's been a beautiful day and beautiful morning here at SEC kickoff. SEC now coming up in a couple minutes.
Okay. So, everybody's having a good morning. Got up and did a little bit of work early this morning, and come on here and get your coffee going, and just jump right in here and start talking. Yesterday, we'll go back through some things that we talked about. What were some of the questions we had yesterday? We had some great questions. We talked about, with all the big super conferences, that's a cliche word, I guess, that we're using now. I guess let's use it this way. We'll say, with conference realignment coming for the next couple of years, how do you guys feel about teams playing in-state Division III, Division II or III schools? Because if we get out of this, if we're just going to play 9 conference games because we're adding 2 more, so we're going to lose. Say Bama's, going to lose that game against Austin Peay, small schools. And it's easy for everybody to say, well, they just do that to, pad their record and just makes it easy. So all they got to do is win 4 conference games, and then they can schedule 2 easy teams. And if they win those, that's 6 games. So they'll get to go to a bowl game. Well, that is true. Coach Saban talked about that yesterday. Shout out to Josh Pate on Late Kick. Good interview yesterday. Really good. Got some good questions in. So that's what I like to kind of lay out. When we go to that style of conference play here in the next few years, I would suggest that you can't make schools do anything these days, but shouldn't we approach it with, we would highly recommend that Alabama and Auburn in the state here would play JSU, Alabama A&Ms, those kind of schools around here in the state too, and not just football. Let's mix in some baseball. I mean, guys, I think shout out to Snead State. They got some good ball players down there, and Samuel Cosby, a local kid from around here, is in the Sunday school class. Brother Mark's son, he's played down there, and why not basketball? I think JSU has they're always pretty competitive in basketball. And I'm not saying they're going to go out and beat Auburn or nothing, but instead of Auburn scheduling smaller schools from out of state, I suggest we schedule the smaller schools in state, because those haves and have-nots, talking about competitive balance again, that word that's been popular for about a week or 2 now. We're going to throw that word out again. And I'm speaking about money, because, what's it going to be like for those smaller schools? They're just going to get left out of from these playing these bigger schools anymore, so that money is going to be gone. So let's take care of our home people here in state. And I suggest that everybody do it. Up north, Big Ten, gosh, there's a lot of good basketball up there in all kind of divisions. Out west, so Big 12 and Pac-12, guys, I mean, California's loaded with all kind of even small college schools all over the place out there. So maybe you can get the likes of Oregon's and Stanford's and their basketball and in all sports. Girls volleyball, we could have Stanford girls volleyball play a Division II school out there. Keep everything in your local area. And I think if everybody will pitch in, because it takes a village, that's what they say. So I think if everybody pitched in and done their part, I think that there could be an adequate detail that we could add to new conference alignments. So let's get back in here. And yeah, they're fixing to go back on here. Coach Pittman has entered building. I really like this guy. I don't know about you guys. I just do. He seems like a player's coach. It's just really, he's brought some excitement over there. He's got some good ball players, and we can't wait to see what Arkansas is going to do this year. I got them. They're my number 3 in the SEC right now. Maybe expectations are high. They may go out this year and drop an egg. I don't know, but just from what I'm feeling, what I'm watching and seeing from the coach and the staff, and the players, I think they got a good shot. They're going to have an exciting quarterback. And KJ Jefferson kind of reminds you of a Cam Newton style, or so Steve McNair style, kind of a big guy, sort of. He can run around, move in the pocket, makes it look easy. Well, let's just get right here on the board. Let's see who's on there today. Got Mr. Rogers and
Right on
company.
out there.
No, it's not.
We have these sentences
One
that-
fish,
right
one
here.
fish, not good enough.
I know. So let's get to it. I'm going to tell you guys what you can expect today. Today, the microphone, as we said, Sam Pittman will hit the podium in mere moments around 9:05. And then national title winner Kirby Smart follows a little bit later. But we'll hear from the Hogs first. Be interested to see what they have to say about that first game against Cincinnati. As we said, Kirby Smart coming up after that, 10:30 a.m. right here on SEC Network. Then one of 2 new coaches in the league, Billy Napier, heads up at 1 p.m. And Kentucky's Mark Stoops faces the media at 2:25. He's the guy that plenty are talking about as a potential coach of a team that could disrupt some things. Maybe the 3rd best team in the SEC. We'll get to that in a little bit later. But guys, as we prepare for Arkansas to hit this stage, and Jordan, we were just talking about it before we came on the air. We were there when they beat Texas, and you could just feel like something was brewing. Well, for the end of the season, they didn't finish necessarily how we thought they might when they started off so strong. But when you look towards next year, the schedule is once again a gauntlet for them.
It's crazy. I mean, when I just look at it in a vacuum, I'm like, Arkansas might be the number 2 team coming in the West with what they're returning, the talent they have, the way Sam Pittman has them going there. Look, you start with Cincinnati at BYU, non-conference against Liberty. I mean, that schedule is brutal, but Sam Pittman will have them ready.
Yeah, it'd be fun to hear what he has to say today. Also, KJ Jefferson is here. Bumper Pool is here. Bumper Pool, who's been in school for a really long time. I'm glad that he's still with us because he's a whole lot of fun. When we hear from Sam Pittman, we'll be with you on the other side of that. And for now, we'll send it over to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. We've got you covered here all day long on SEC Network, as we have all week long. Commissioner, to introduce the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, Sam Pittman.
Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday of SEC Media Days. A year ago is the day we were the center of breaking news. My goal today is to not break any news. Wednesday is SEC Media Days. Bring a smile to your face. Before I introduce Sam Pittman, I do want to acknowledge somebody who's back behind the curtain just by happenstance. I failed to do so. In the spring, we hired David Cutcliffe as what's called a special advisor to the commissioner. It is actually the title that Joe Torre has in Major League Baseball. We spent a number of years looking for someone who could work in our office, who had been in locker rooms, traveled the roads recruiting young people, who actually lived the game of football. And we're really happy to bring David on board, obviously changing his direction after the fall season of 2021, created an opportunity for the Southeastern Conference to bring him back home, if you will. And I know he's been busy visiting with folks, but I wanted to identify him, recognize David, thank him for his work already, and offer him as a point of conversation for each of you. That said, we're here for me to introduce Sam Pittman, who's entering his 3rd year as head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Last year, the Razorbacks won 9 games. That is more than they won in the 3 previous years combined, so it shows the progress of the Razorback program under Sam's leadership. That ended with a win in the Outback Bowl over Penn State, the Big Ten member Penn State in the USA Today Coaches Bowl, the first time since 2011 they ended the season ranked in one of those bowls. For the first time in history, the Hogs captured all three of the program's trophy games. So that's the Southwest Classic, winning LSU for the Golden Boot, and then beating Missouri for the Battle Line Rivalry Trophy. Also, victory when they renewed what is a historic rivalry with the University of Texas, one we'll see more in the future. Sam has in his office a functioning jukebox. That is real and verified. It's my privilege to introduce the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, Sam Pittman.
Good morning, everybody. So glad to be here. Glad to be among you all this morning. I want to thank Greg Sankey, certainly the best commissioner in football, without a doubt, most knowledgeable. Also want to thank William King. William King has done a lot for me through the FCC office, and certainly appreciate him. Hunter Yurchek, you know, I'll say a little bit about Hunter in that he's a wonderful boss. And I say it that way, but he makes you feel like you're working with him, not for him. I want to thank him for my contract. He went to work with Jimmy Sexton and with the board of directors. It wasn't easy. It took a while. But Hunter kept working, and I felt like he worked for me, for the university to make it fair. In that contract, the SEC non-compete clause, I wanted that. I wanted to sell stability in our program, and I wanted to show the state of Arkansas my loyalty to them. And so with that non-compete, I'm going to be able to coach throughout my career, hopefully as long as we win, obviously. At the University of Arkansas. We brought KJ Jefferson today, Bumper Pool and Jalen Catalon. Told the team yesterday it was up to me. You know what I'm going to say, how to bring the whole damn team. However, we're allowed to bring three, and we're represented well. With KJ Jefferson, he was our leading rusher, leading passer, was an MVP of the Outback Bowl, and he's a returning captain. From last season. He's our quarterback. He makes us go. He sets the tone for our football team. Bumper Pool is what I would call a super senior, coming back COVID senior year, had 125 tackles at his linebacker position. Great leader, great kid. I believe if he stays healthy, I believe he'll be the all-time leading tackler in the history of the University of Arkansas. Jalen Catalon we brought along as well. He was a captain last year for us, as we all know. He was hurt halfway through the season. I went ahead and had some surgery on his shoulder. He's the leader of the secondary. He gets everybody in alignment. He can run downhill. He'll hit you. Great kid. I'm excited for you all to meet those three kids. Like I said before, they're going to represent the University of Arkansas in a fine manner. Just a quick recap. Commissioner Sankey said some of it. Our university continues to graduate student athletes. Chris Evans, Felicia Sane, their crew, and academics. We've graduated 100% of our football athletes who have exhausted their senior year of eligibility ever since I've been there. Most wins by the program since 2011, finished ranked in the top 20 in the coaches poll, won 4 trophies. That was a big deal to our football team, big deal. To have all 3 of our rivalry trophies, and certainly the Outback Bowl trophy. No one on our team had ever had one of those trophies, and we were fortunate to have all 3 of them. We led the Power 5 in rushing. I think what that does, that tells us what we're trying to do with our program. We want to be a physical team. We want both sides of the line of scrimmage. We want to win the line of scrimmage, and we want to be physical and tough. And to do that is hard to do. I was an O-line coach for a long time and never was able to lead the Power 5 in rushing, but we were able to do that last year. April 22nd, we handed out bowl rings. Some people ask, well, why you hand out a bowl ring for Outback Bowl? Because I wanted to. And because it's something that nobody on our team had accomplished. And, you can set goals. And once you reach one, that ain't the goal, that's one of them. And once you reach that goal, we're going to celebrate it. And then we're going to move on. That was the last time our team talked about last year. Proud of our coaching staff. We have 2 new coaches in Deke Adams, who's our D-line coach, and Dominique Bowman, who came over from Marshall. Both of those guys are recruiters, and both of them are loyal, and both of them are great men. And our team has received them well. They were both in for spring ball, and both of them are recruiting at a high level. We have 3 coordinators in Kendall Brile, Scott Fountain, and Barry Odom. They're all loyal. They're great coaches. They're all better men. We are one of 8 Power 5 teams to have a pair of coordinators returning for the 3rd consecutive season. It's been in for a long time in coaching. Administration stepped up and helped us keep Cody Kennedy when others came calling. Jamil Walker, our strength coach, has done an outstanding job with our kids. They work. The purest form of team, go in there and watch your team work out in the weight room. There's no offensive line versus defensive line. There's no linebackers versus running backs. There's none of that stuff. It's a team. It's pure. It's fun to watch. I enjoyed watching that this summer. Jamil Walker and his staff do a great job. Challenging schedule. Again, I think this is the 3rd year in a row. Well, I've only been here 3 years, so I know it's the 3rd year in a row that we've been awarded the toughest schedule in college football. All 12 of this year's opponents made postseason play last year. Our crossover games are with South Carolina and Missouri. South Carolina, obviously, Coach Beamer has done a great job there. A lot of enthusiasm. He's one of, I don't know what tree he's out of, as far as is he with Kirby or Oklahoma or whatever it be. But there was myself and Coach Tucker, Dan Lanning, and Coach Beamer all came from the Kirby Smart tree at some point. And I'm certainly indebted to him. But Beamer's done a great job there. South Carolina comes in week 2. They got a lot of great things going in their program. Missouri, obviously, is our other crossover game, which we're trying to make a rival. We haven't won the game enough times to make it a rivalry game, but we're trying to do that. Excited about our non-conference opponents this year. Week 1, we're playing University of Cincinnati. Luke Fickle's the head coach there. They went to college football playoffs, 8 seed conference champions, and he was the AFCA Coach of the Year. We're excited about that game. Week 3, we play Missouri State. Bobby Petrino, the Arkansas coach, had great success at the University of Arkansas, has been in the FCS playoffs the last 2 seasons. BYU, they're 21-4. They have 2 top 20 finishes over the last 2 years, 20 returning starters. We go to BYU, and then Liberty, they have 3 straight bowl wins under Coach Freeze. We all know about Coach Freeze. We have 12 starters returning, 6 on offense, 4 on defense, 2 special teams, with Cam Little and Reed Bauer on the special teams. We have 3 super seniors returning, Dalton Wagner, Bumper Poole, and Dorian Gerald. Portal additions, we had 9. We ended up with 2 wide receivers, 4 D linemen, 1 linebacker, 2 DBs. 5 of those were at our spring practice. They practiced this spring. 4 of them came in this summer. We expected every one of them to contribute to our success. We'd like our program to reflect our state, the great state of Arkansas. Loyal, tough, hard-working. One of our goals every year is to make the state of Arkansas proud of the football team. In my office is a sign that says you're not coming to play for the University of Arkansas, you're coming to play for the state of Arkansas. And it's true to the core. We've established a true home field advantage in our stadium because of the state's passion for the Razorback. From 2019 to 21, we were number 2 in the nation, number 1 in SEC, with fan attendance increase of 14,000 fans, additional fans per game. I'm honored, Jamie and I are honored to represent the University of Arkansas. I'm honored to be the head coach at Arkansas. I want to thank all the media for your work and helping us tell our story. With that, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have Allie, Lexi, and Blake. We'll get the microphone to you. Please stand if you can and give your name and affiliation. So we're going to start right here in the center aisle. Manira.
Good morning, Coach. You're in a unique situation knowing you were a former head coach, high school level, junior college level, and now at Arkansas. How has it helped you now in this, this landscape that we see now, not only the normal recruiting process, but also the transfer portal as well?
Yeah, I remember being the head coach at Hutchinson Junior College, and they said you had to have 120, 140 kids on your team. And I went out west to Kansas and recruited. So, at a junior college, you're going to recruit 85, 90 kids every year. And it's kind of crazy. So, yeah, I've been raised up with a lot of people. And that's basically what the portal is doing now. With us, we signed 22 and 9, so we signed 31 scholarships, which is unheard of 2 years ago, if you know what I'm saying. So it's been, change happens. And it just depends on if you're willing to deal with the change or are you going to fight the change. And for us, we're willing to do whatever we can to make our football team the best.
We're going to go right over here on our left side, second row.
That's all going to be a tribute. What do you think of the job Barry Odom has done in the last few years, and how different do you expect the defense to look this year?
Well, we lost a lot of players off our defense. We felt like we did a nice job of getting some portal guys to help us, and obviously we're advancing the guys we had on our team. Barry Odom is a key part of the University of Arkansas' success, along with Kendall Bry, along with all our coaches. But he's a very, very key part, and especially because he helps me, and he still helps me. I'm a work in progress, and he helps me with head coaching responsibilities. I bounce everything off of him still to this day. But Barry Odom is one of the most loyal, wonderful people that there is in the country. He's unbelievably loyal to myself and the university, and I'm really, really happy that he's part of our staff.
We're going to go over to our right-hand side over on this right.
Thank you, Coach. Steve Moulton, WCCN. Hope you're doing well. Wide receiver position in particular, if you could evaluate that for me, Coach, and also the role that Malik Hornsby could play in this team.
Yeah, well, I think, obviously the unsaid thing there was Burks, losing Traylon Burks. And I don't know you replace a guy 1 for 1. I don't think you can, there. So we're going to have to do it by committee. I like a couple of the guys we've gotten in the portal, and Matt Landers and Jaden Hazelwood. But I think Keytron Jackson's going to have his best year. I think he's ready to go. Warren Thompson's ready to go. Bryce Stevens has improved. I like who we signed out of the freshman class. It's still yet to be determined whether they can, help us or not. Isaiah Satana, Bakke, Sam Bakke, and Quincy McAdoo. They've all had good all season, or one had all season in the summer. But we're going to have to do it by committee. I'll say this. We look like a wide receiver group. We run like a wide receiver group. KJ is going to have to get comfortable with where these guys are going to be, and he has to get comfortable with their speed and the way they run their routes and all those things. But I think we're going to have to replace Burks by committee. That was certainly probably the number one thing offensively that was concerning. Along with Malik, we have used him at wide receiver. He's fast. He has natural ball skills. We need to get him on the field. If he doesn't beat KJ out in fall camp, he needs to be on the field. He's fast. He's up to 190 pounds now. He can withstand the heat and hits, physicality. But the other thing that helped us is Cade Fortin. So getting Cade Fortin in at quarterback allows us a little bit to move Malik Hornsby out and look at him at wideout. But he's a good enough player. He needs to be on the field. So he's certainly got a chance to help us there as well.
This will go right in front of me about midway back in the green.
Good morning, Coach. Jacob Goins from ESPN 107 in Auburn. What does it mean for you to be a part of the Arkansas athletic department that has become one of the best in the entire country across all major sports?
Well, we got to get better. I mean, if you're in Arkansas right now, everybody's doing so much more than we are. And so we have to get better. But seriously, it's unbelievable. You know, when the basketball team goes to Elite Eight, and Dave and them go to the World Series, and Courtney and them win the SEC, and they can go on soccer, women's soccer won the SEC, and Bucky and them won the SEC in track. It's unbelievable. I think you have to look at those individual coaches, and you certainly have to look at Hunter Yurchek and his staff. But it's a great time to be at Hall now, and I think everybody in the state's pumped up about sports. You can see that in ticket sales and revenue and those things as well. And I'm certainly excited to be a part of it.
Same section right in front of me, 4 rows back. Kirk.
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American State. Congratulations on your great year, Sam. Do you feel like, are you comfortable saying Arkansas has arrived?
Yeah.
And the second question, do you want Texas and Oklahoma as permanent rivals?
Yes. First answer, no. No. Arkansas is just trying to compete. We're trying to get better. We're trying to, you know, we're trying to fight hard. We're trying to work hard. We're the underdog. We like it that way. No. We're away from that. Now, we'll compete. We'll do that. Roll it out there and let's play ball. But no. Not that. What was your second one? Yes. Oh, Oklahoma, Texas. You know, it was fun playing Texas last year. Obviously, you know, it was 1 year. We had a nice game against them and those things. Had a lot of respect for Coach Sark and Longhorns. Oklahoma would be another rival that would be pretty cool. To be honest with you, we could play Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri. That'd be really neat. I'm not the schedule maker. I'm just a football coach. But to answer your question, that'd be a really cool deal, growing up in the state of Oklahoma.
We're going to go over here to the right in the middle.
Conor Garris, Saturday Down South. The hog statue on your property, can you explain the backstory as to what led to that, and was that before or after you knew you had a new contract coming?
Oh, I like that last pitch. Hog statue, about the Marlin house. Big old Marlin. That big Marlin over here. That guy catching the Marlin over here. It's kind of a peninsula that comes down in the water. Guy over here, he like this. He was hooking the Marlin on the other part of it. Well, we bought it. Jamie and I bought it on August 1st, and August 3rd, the storm came through and knocked the Marlin down. Marlin shot water into the lake. So my mind went to a slobbering hog. Insurance company came through. Brandon White was the guy I called about the hog, and he made it into. I just thought the hog was going to be out there. This thing's incredible, to be honest with you. But he's got lights on him. He's got whatever color lights you want. The water shoots up, and then it looks like he's slobbering down into the lake. And that's the story behind it, and it's really kind of cool. Now it's boats on parade coming, you know, to the house down there. The guys go and they call the hogs, try to get on it. Says a lot of signs says don't get on the hog, but the few people that do, I wish they'd read the sign.
Coach, we'll go over here in section in front of me, about midway back.
because Drew Barrett is in Arkansas. I know you talked about how you like to be an underdog, but it's your third year at Arkansas. First time you're not being picked to finish 7th in the SEC West. Doesn't it feel kind of good to be recognized for the success that you and your players have had? And how's it been different this season where you're actually getting, credit from a lot of people?
I said when I got the head coaching job that the only decisions that I'd made, they would not concern public opinion. That way, if we win as a group, and if we lose, I get fired because I did it like I wanted to. So, obviously, you can't live in a cave and not hear what people say about you or predictions and all that stuff. But if that's the only driving force that you have, you're going to lose. If that's the only driving force to be good, you're going to lose. So if we can keep our core values of let's go outwork people, let's out-tough people, let's be the hardest playing team in football. I don't know if we are or not. That's the goal. And that, by the way, that's the expectation. Then whatever people may say, everybody has a mouth, everybody has an opinion. Some of the opinions are worthy and some aren't. But so I'm going to let our football team, myself, drive what we need to accomplish. And if we do, the kids and the coaching staff did a great job. If we don't, I screwed it up.
Coach, we'll go right down here in front, Tom. Hey, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democratic.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, my question's about the defensive line.
Yeah.
You like the numbers and the talent there. And Dorian Gerald, you maybe talk about his story a little bit and what he might be able to do.
Well, Dorian Gerald's been there so long, I told him the other day, I think Houston Nutt brought him in. He's been there for 100 years. I don't know how long he's been there. But, so Dorian, we obviously need pass rushers. I love the numbers. Actually, we're over, to be honest with you, on numbers there. We've got 20 count walk-ons. But we need some elite pass rushers. We went and got Landon Jackson there. Obviously, Zach Williams is returning. Jashad Stewart's returning. Eric Gregory can do either or. We signed Jordan Dominique. So we think we can get to the quarterback a little bit more. We also feel a little better with our corner situation where we can play a little man coverage. We got to get guys behind the chains on first down. We did better last year. We have to continue to get better. Having man-to-man corners is going to help you do that. But I feel a lot better. Isaiah Nichols on the inside, Cam Ball. Obviously, losing Torrey Carter for a whatever the period of time it is hurt us. He was having a wonderful spring. But other than that, I feel good. Terry Hampton coming in. I feel good about Taylor Lewis, some of those guys, and we'll see what happens. But I think we'll be much better on the D-line than we were a year ago.
We're going to go over on our left-hand side on the far right. Coach.
Matt Moscona with ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sure.
You and LSU kind of had a little player swap this year.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from Dwight McLaughlin and Landon Jackson? What's LSU getting in Greg Brooks and Joe Boucher?
Well, let's go what LSU is getting. Two fine kids. Ones that were never in trouble, and ones gave everything for the University of Arkansas. And we're very, very happy that they were on our football team. They'll work hard. They're good kids. They're good players. And certainly when you go in the same division, it's harder, certainly. But great kids, great parents, and Coach Kelly got two fine football players. For us, Dwight McLaughlin is a guy we think can play man-to-man cover corner. More importantly, he thinks he can play man-to-man cover corner, and he can. He's long. I like him a lot. Landon Jackson came over with an injury. Wonderful person, wonderful kid. Just now healthy. He can run. He could run long. And so we felt like, not necessarily from LSU, but we felt like some of our issues were rushing the passer as a defensive end and a covered man-to-man covered corner situation. Not that we don't have them, but we needed more. We felt like we did well with those two guys in the fold.
A couple more. We're going to start here on the center aisle, near aisle in front of me.
Hey, Coach. Chris Marler, Saturday on South. You brought up the schedule. I don't know if you know this, but you're 16-6 against the spread. So I want to say thank you.
How about?
16-6. Love it. My question is, you brought up how difficult the schedule is. You're not in control of it. You're the most likable coach in the conference, possibly the country. Who's doing this to you with the scheduling? And is there plans to kind of scale that back a little bit moving forward?
Well, schedules are scheduled out so many years in advance, and nobody knew. Maybe they did. I don't know. But Cincinnati, when they were scheduled, I'm not. I know they weren't in the college football playoffs. And then BYU's always been really, really, they've been a good program, but they're at the top of their game. Well, not top. I think they played for a national championship a few years back, or not McMahon, or who. I may be all messed up on that. But being 21-4 and having 20 starters coming back, I laugh at Homestead, they're trying to fire me, but I hope not. I mean, I like it there. And so I think with the realignment, which thank you for not asking me that question, I think with the realignment, I think everything is trying to become fair. And right now, the West, if you're in the West, it's a beast. Now, I'm not saying the East isn't either now, but the West is sure enough. And you had that, and then you play another couple, 2 or 3 teams in your non-conference schedule that are go-getters. Hard. It's hard to maintain. Last year we went 4-0, and then, somebody said, well, you're not going to be able to slip up on anybody. Well, we didn't slip up on Georgia last year either. I think they knew we was coming in there. And so, at one point, I'm hoping that it'll ease up a little bit, but right now it's.
We'll take one final question over to our right on the Good
morning, Coach. Kim Capps from Football Writers of America. After the beating of Texas last year, what message do you have for the Oklahoma and Texas fans coming over to the SEC? And also, what are the most played songs on your jukebox in your office?
We love you, Texas and Oklahoma. Can't wait for you to come over. We got a great place. I don't know what to tell them. I mean, OU, as a kid, for the Sooners when I was a young kid, till I moved over to eastern Oklahoma where I became a Razorback fan. Storied football program. Now we're having recruiting battles with them right now. Thank the Lord, because before we couldn't get in the door. But we're having recruiting battles. We are having recruiting battles with Texas. I'm not telling you we're whipping them or anything like that. I'm telling you we're in the conversation. So close, and you have 2 storied programs there, but I would tell them that what they already know, it's a hell of a league, and it's about big people and fast people. It's just not any different probably than the Big 12, but consistently each week you're going to have some depth. And those guys are great coaches over there at Texas, Oklahoma. They know that. And the most thing on my jukebox, the most played thing right now is a little Stevie Nicks. I love her. And I don't know her. I don't mean that, Jamie didn't hear me say that. But I like her, and I like Fleetwood Mac. But I'm listening to a 4-song rundown right now. If I can do 8 and then come back with the top 2, I can get my 2-mile walk in. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Coach, thank you for your time this morning.
Go home. Thank you very much.
He said this league is big people and fast people. On the other side of this break, we'll talk about Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Again, he'll join us here on our SEC Now set a little bit later on. 46 hours of coverage all week long here on SEC Network. And we got a whole lot more coming your way today as the national champion team, Georgia, comes to town, as well as Florida, and you'll see Kentucky, too, today. Guys, we are going to get back to this in just a minute. I believe we're going to break unless you guys tell me differently. So here we go. That's Radio Row. I'm actually looking for some of our friends over there, but they're all our friends on Radio Row. They're doing great work up there. And we'll be right back with more reaction from Arkansas and previewing the rest of the day. So don't go anywhere. SEC Now Special 2022 SEC Kickoff is presented by Regions, official bank of the SEC.
Want a great team?
So
You gotta build it piece by piece. With a few natural born leaders.
So let's go back through a little bit of here, Coach Pittman, and see what we got going on. Again, thank you for stopping by the Best Dang Duo on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere you can get this. Guys, we're out working every day. I promise you that. If anybody's offended by our work and our hustle, maybe you need to step your game up. And if you took offense to anything that I've said or called you out personally, I don't call anybody out personally. If I call anybody out personally, I can mention their names. I promise you, that's just how I'd handle that. So, hey, if something's sticking in your side, maybe it's offending you, maybe feels like I am talking to you. Maybe you need to step your game up again. So we are the best sports duo in anything going in the county today. Worldwide, we reach people from up north. I talk to people from Birmingham to all over the place right here, and we appreciate you getting in here with us on Primetime Sports Network, Media Day, SEC coverage on day 3. So let's talk about this. We'll have Coach Smart. He'll be up here in a little while. Diamond Dean will be here in studio with us about 9:30. Looking forward to that. He'll be here in a little less than an hour. Now, Arkansas won 9 games last year, and they won a ball game against Penn State. Now, they finished 4-4 in the SEC. To beat LSU and Missouri for some big-time classic games, hey, excuse me, that's really important for the conference, you know, to represent the SEC, and it shows how rivalry games are still important. He also spoke on the facts of playing Oklahoma and Texas, and that will be good. Anytime you can take your brand out to another state, that's pretty awesome. Now, they did lead the Power 5 in rushing. That's also a great achievement. Now, let's talk about some of the reporters. They said they had 9 guys to come in. And for attendance as far as football games, they said they were number 1 in the SEC for us packing out stadium. That's big time. That says a lot about the fan base out there in Arkansas. Week 1 at 2:30 on ESPN, they will play in Cincinnati. Looking down the road a little bit, they will be hosting Alabama October the 1st. Later on, a few weeks later, they're going to travel out to BYU. They brought back some players out there too, return a lot of guys. It'll be an interesting game. Hope the Hogs can go out there and represent for the conference. I think they will. November 5th, planning on stepping out a little out of their league there. They're going to play Liberty. Hey, they have a lot of great players up there, and we have local players that also are up there playing. Let's talk about KJ a little bit. He had 2,600 passing, 664 on the rush. The dynamics he's going to add to the team now, losing their running back and Trayvon losing their receiver, I'm sure it's going to make a difference, but he's not making any excuses or he's not pulling any punches. So that's just a matter of fact on that. So we do. In Auburn. Now they're going to play them Halloween weekend. There's going to be a lot of good games on that Saturday, October the 29th. They'll be at Auburn. Looking forward to that game as well. So let's get back over here and let's get on the panel and see what they got to say. All right, we appreciate you guys again for stopping by. Best Dang Duo going anywhere that you can think of. Matt and Todd Show. We out there working and hustling. We're doing things every day. Guys, we thank you all for your subscriptions. And for new people, hit the subscribe button and stay up to date. We're on every Sunday. We're out working every week, no days off. Okay? All right. Let's see what we got to say here.
And that'll help them build around the quarterback. They want to win 10 games, right? Kelly's done that 6 out of the last 7 years.
Right.
I think 8-9 is absolutely possible. Could it get you a situation where it's 10 next year? Maybe.
Wow.
But there's a lot of question marks to answer.
So you mentioned running the ball. I'm just curious, in your mind, would Jaden Daniels at quarterback be a better fit to try to get the run game going a little more?
So here's what I said this the other day. We talked about who should Brian Kelly choose as a quarterback, right? I think you start with the guy that can distribute the football most consistently. So I would say start with Miles Brennan. Because if it doesn't work and you find out the offensive line isn't quite what we need it to be, then go to the guy that can make plays with his legs. They can buy you out a little bit more. But if you start with a guy like Jaden Daniels, who is going to struggle at times, he's not quite as polished as maybe Miles Brennan is passing the football, then everyone's like, hey, remember Miles Brennan from 2020? Right, really good, right? Allow Jaden Daniels, if he's got the highest ceiling, to get in there with a longer leash a couple games in if that's what your football team needs.
That's the great thing about their schedule is their first 4 games at Louisiana. And so for a fan base that is wanting to know more about their new head coach and he's wanting to fit in and assimilate and all those sorts of things, I think he needs to start off fast in that program, and having those games in Louisiana is a big deal.
All right, Benjamin, your turn. Q&A with yourself.
Q&A with myself. I was like, this is weird. How's this going to go? My question is, when is or will Stetson Bennett ever get the respect he deserves as an SEC quarterback?
It won't be from everybody in the state.
I don't want to be. That's why I'm asking the question.
Are you talking about Jordan?
14 touchdowns last season. He's second in passer rating, first in yards per attempt. And oh, by the way, he won a national championship. He scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to lead his team to the first national championship in 40 years for the University of Georgia. But he's still that guy that is not on anybody's list. He's not on anybody's top 5. He's not on anybody's top 6 or top 10. A lot of people have him in the last in the SEC. So is there anything that he can do? And I think that my answer is no. Because he didn't start off with the right type of hype. But I don't think that's a bad thing for Stetson Bennett, and I don't think that's a bad thing for the Georgia Bulldogs. Many times, the best players have the chip on their shoulder. I think for Stetson Bennett, he comes in this year, he's got the same offensive coordinator. He's got a tight end room that is full of talent, the best in the country. I don't know how they're going to use all these guys. He's got a defense that may not be the elite defense from last year, but he's got a secondary I think is going to be better than last year's secondary with guys like Hugh Ringo coming back, Chris Smith, Mikey Smith. I think Georgia is set up. I think Stetson Bennett is set up for a lot of success. Will he ever get that elite quarterback status in the SEC from people who know what they're talking about? I don't know, but I don't think that's a bad thing for him.
I think he has to put up more numbers this year, and he will have to do that if they want to win and be where they're supposed to be at, because their defense will not hold everybody to 7 points or less like they did last year. They're going to have to score. They're going to have to lean on Stetson Bennett to be that leader, do it with his legs, and also be able to throw the ball downfield and be explosive on offense like they were at times last year.
He doesn't need to be. I think that's the biggest issue here. And it's not a bad thing, right? They don't need Stetson Bennett to put up Bryce Young type numbers. They just don't. To win football games, that's not how they do it on offense. So here's what I love about this situation for Stetson is as a quarterback. And if there was a quarterback that appears to not see what we see, what we say here on TV, what people say on Twitter, it's him, right? But he doesn't be a quarterback. Everybody in the locker room does. So having been a quarterback, he hears it. He heard it last year. And when he goes through some of those ups and downs in games where he forced things a little too much, I think he's trying to make plays. I think in his head, he goes, I got to be that guy that I know I can be. Right. He doesn't have to do that anymore. He won a national championship. He doesn't care anymore. We're going to see a more confident Stetson Bennett. We're going to see a better Stetson Bennett. But again, he doesn't have to be top 5.
So what do you make your list is the question.
No, because he doesn't have to be. He's not going to put up those numbers. He doesn't have to be. In a game, in an SEC championship, in a national championship, he can be a top 5 quarterback. Yeah. But across the whole season, doesn't need to be. He can throw 25 touchdowns.
I like that you keep saying he's going to be more confident, because I think a lot of people think if you're going to live up to the pressure of potentially trying to repeat a national championship, maybe you'd feel that. You think he's in a really good spot. I love it. All right, your question and answer for yourself.
Because they always tell you, the best conversation is when you have to yourself. So this is what I'm
me,
you have those a lot.
I will tell you.
You wouldn't be there for it.
So as I'm rattling in my mind, all right, what is the question that I would love to ask myself? And that is South Carolina a true threat in the SEC East? Well, the answer to that is yes. And I will tell you why. Let's think outside the box. At the next level, the NFL, if you will have a Super Bowl contending team, what is the number one question you must answer first is, do you have a quarterback? And right now, I say South Carolina has that quarterback,
in Spencer Rattler. This same 365 days ago, he was projected to be the #1 overall pick, the #1 player in all of college football. He had a rough time last year, replaced by Caleb Williams, goes in the transfer portal and lands right here in South Carolina in the SEC. So when you get the quarterback mark checked, that means you have a chance. They are a dangerous team. They have Shane Beamer. They got everybody excited. The Twitter video yesterday was gold. Gold. Okay? And so now you're building all these great things. I cannot wait to see what Spencer Rattler does because his ceiling is higher than everybody else's. This guy is loaded up and throwing the football. It is the thing to watch. So now he puts some talented guys around him. How does he respond? The rest of the team must come along with him if they want to be there and be that true threat that I'm calling it right now that they are.
All right, I'm going to ask my question because I want to get your thoughts as well. So my question is, who's the third best team in the SEC? We know Alabama and Georgia are up there at the top, but who's the third best? I know. Well, I got to ask it. I think you asked it. To me, right, exactly. So to me, Kentucky and Tennessee could be in that category, and I would put both of them in there. Mainly from Kentucky's standpoint, their schedule sets up really well, so I think they're set up nicely to potentially rise up to that third spot. And then when you look at Tennessee, and Greg McElroy actually brought this up earlier in the week, he thinks that Heupel's under the most pressure as a coach, and that's because of some of the flashes they showed last year. I love his quarterback spot. I think they'll be better than they were, and already last year they were a team that nobody wanted to play because that offensive scheme is so fast. Speed kills, as we all know. You guys agree with those two teams as potentially being the third best team? Any other nominees you want to throw out there?
I got Tennessee, the pace in which they play offensively. I watch them every week, and I have no idea how I would be a coordinator to defend that offense.
Wow.
And it really gives me problems and headaches. So
You have to be able to slow down the pass, too. I think that's my biggest question mark for them. Can their offense take them to push Georgia? Sure. But that's a question to be answered. You could throw South Carolina in that conversation. You could throw an Arkansas in that conversation. Their schedule's brutal, but, I mean, for what they're bringing back, I mean, you're not wrong. You throw 8 teams in there. Everybody's got an argument. That's what makes this year so interesting.
Are we not going to bring up A&M? Because Texas A&M,
absolutely.
We haven't talked a lot about Texas A&M.
That's not giving a lot of respect. Definitely in that conversation, no doubt, with the talent they have.
They have the talent, but it's really young in the quarterback situation. Yeah, let's talk about this for a second. We got about a minute left. What do you think about A&M? We'll hear from them tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I think they're always the team, at least the last several years, that's been, when are they going to do that? I mean, Jimbo Fisher is one of the most tenured coaches here in this conference. They've got the recruiting. They've got the NIL deal. They've got everything that's there for them to be successful. They had a big win last year, obviously, against Alabama, but there's too many question marks at the quarterback position. And if you don't have a solid quarterback, the teams we just mentioned with Kentucky and Tennessee, they've got that. They've got that check. Even in South Carolina, even though it's his first year there, they've got that check. And so if you don't
talent is undeniable, right?
Yeah, but if you don't have that leadership at quarterback, it's going to be difficult.
I hear you. We'll hear from Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M tomorrow. They'll wrap up SEC Media Days. We've got a lot more coming your way as we dive in on the Georgia Bulldogs. They'll make their way into this building soon, but what about Stetson Bennett? We talked about him just a little bit there. We got a lot more coming your way. He may not make Jordan's top 5 list, but that doesn't mean he's not a champion. We'll be back.
As a girl dad who works in sports, I'm constantly trying to find ways to empower my daughters and build their self-confidence in sports, offer an amazing platform, whether it's golf, volleyball, basketball, softball, soccer. There are so many opportunities for young girls to get involved in sports. I love that Academy champions women's sports. It's so important, and they have everything to get you started.
On the latest hashtag challenge, everyone on social media is trying to. It's so hard that hashtag common sense can't keep up.
This is going to get tens and tens of views.
But if you don't have the right auto insurance coverage, you can be left to pay for this.
Get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem for a whole lot less.
Basketball superstar Stephen Curry loves to shoot with cash. Listen, Wednesday, July 20th, he's taking his shot at something new. I got Stephen Curry is the SV's live from Martin. Taking the biggest names in sports and entertainment come together. You know I'm going to knock it out of the park. ESPN's live Wednesday, July 20th on ABC and stream next day on Hulu.
Hi, folks. Medicare Part C plans with extra benefits like getting money added back to your Social Security check may now be available to you in your zip code. Make sure you're not missing out. It's simple. 1, call the number on your screen. 2, they'll look up your zip code and see if you're eligible. 3, they'll check for plans with extra benefits like prescription, dental coverage, and the benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every single month. Call now.
I called to get everything I deserve. I called to check my zip code for a plan with a benefit that adds money back to my Social Security check.
I called to check my zip code.
Millions of people have called the Medicare coverage helpline. Call, check your zip code, see if you're eligible, and get what you deserve. Call now.
Call 1-800-821-6476. That's 1-800-821-6476 now.
You're watching SEC Now Special 2022 SEC Kickoff presented by Region.
That's what it's all about. Why you work so hard in the offseason, and we get 60 minutes to find out who's going to win this ball game. 40-yard touchdown strike. Bennett. It's Mitchell in the back right corner of the right end zone.
I'm a champion, I'm a champion, I'm a champion, I'm a champion.
Let's take a look at Georgia by the numbers, brought to you by Bush's Beans. Georgia won its first national championship in 4 decades last season by limiting opponents to 10.2 points per game. It's wild, it's historic. That was the fewest points allowed by an FBS team since 2011 when Alabama allowed 8.2 points per game on the way to its first of back-to-back titles. Remember that Alabama defense. People last year even trying to just put into context what we were watching real time with that Georgia defense. Guys, we know we're not going to see exactly that again. We keep talking about that Georgia brings back some good players on the defensive side, despite all the players starting to the NFL. So I'm curious, Benjamin, what does this defense actually look like in your mind? You mentioned that corners could actually be better, but give us a little bit of the blueprint here.
Yeah, I think, if you looked at Georgia's defense last year, the one spot where I would say they needed to be much better was the secondary. And you look at that secondary this year, they've got Christopher Smith coming back, Tyke Smith, they got Keelan Ringo who made that great play. And so I think they're going to have a better understanding of where they need to be in that offense. Now, that being said, they used 5 first-round picks. That's a huge hole to fill. But you got a guy, Jalen Carter, who's predicted to be a #1 pick. He was actually supposed to be better than the scouts than Jordan Davis. And so this defense has a lot to look forward to. They've learned after last year what it means to be a good defense. They know what it takes. I'm expecting big things from this defense.
The biggest question I have is how do you replace these linebackers? Jacoby Dean, his production, his smart, his leadership, the way he carried and coached that defense, you cannot replace that. I've been around Kirby Smart's defense. Even when he was at Alabama, I know what it takes to be a light linebacker in that defense and the communication that goes on from the middle linebacker to the secondary to the defensive line. Those are the little things that Georgia's going to have to replace. I don't know who's going to do that, but you got to be a lead dog on that defense. You got to get everybody to buy in. And when it's all loud and all the madness is going on in these stadiums, you got to all be locked in. Everybody has to be on the same page. It only takes 2 people to be out of position for a big play to happen. Now you're depending on Stetson and Bennett to not just be who you are, but now I got to depend on you to go out there and put up points and high numbers. Those are the situations that could get Georgia in trouble this year, and I can't wait to see it kind of all play out. I'm with you, though, Ben. I think they'll be fine because of Kirby.
Oh, mind you, they also lost the coordinator. A little less champion ability, that was big.
Yeah.
People forget that he's there, right? And of course, tied with Kirby Smart has known him for years. I just want you to teach a little bit there. You're talking about the Mike linebacker and the communication, and you said it really well, but specifically how much they have to understand the playbook. It's just a whole extra level in that spot.
Well, I'll give them that Georgia loves running corner blitzes or cat blitzes, right? They love these things. So that tight end walks over or changes over. Now I got as a Mike linebacker, that you have to depend on the secondary to already know what's happening. Now they have to rotate. Now the linebacker or the outside linebacker, somebody else has to do it. You got to reach down, slap somebody on the cheek over here, get them over, and get back in position. Now you're gap change. It's a lot. And now you got to make sure the secondary is in control. You're throwing up a hand while you're trying to slap a cheek and get guys moving. It's a lot going on.
And the communication of pattern matching, right? When teams motion, when they change formation, all the responsibility changes and the communication starts with linebacker.
And even last year with Dan Lanning, they love dropping defensive line. They love pattern matching 1, 2, and 3. That's all on the number count. So now you go from matching number 2 to number 3 just because you got to reach down. You got to tell them a hot hold drop, which means now you're running off then you're going off of number 3. Now you're no longer dropping off of number 2. All these little football communication things. When you have veteran guys that have been in the wars for that long, like they had last year, it's easy. They're not even thinking; they're just playing. And you also know what the guy beside you is going to react to and how they're going to do these things. So that is what they're going to miss the most. Yeah. It's like the playing inside the game, like in the game. You're not just playing the game; you're in the game.
And that's what you got to expect too. If you're Georgia, if you're that good, if you're that good to a man, where man for man, you are bigger, stronger, and faster than your opponent. And I'm on offense, I'm going to throw every trick in the book at you because the only way that I can get you off, the only way I can get over that 10.2 points a game is to get you out of position, which is what we saw last year. The secondary sometimes in Georgia from a communication standpoint.
Either way, the game was slowed down for those guys. I mean, Kobe Dean could just sit out there and watch what was going on. It'll speed up for anyone who's trying to fill his shoes. Let's switch to the offensive side because we talked a lot about Stetson Bennett. He posted the 3rd highest QBR in the nation last season. You talk about the disrespect. I mean, look at these numbers. Look at the names that he's up there with Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift, and Gunnar Stockton on the bench for the Bulldogs. So have an ESPN 300 quarterback for each of the past 3 recruiting classes. So the room is deep, but Stetson's the guy. And I want to talk more about what this offense is going to actually look like, George. Keep talking about Stetson Bennett. We think about last year, but let's project forward. You mentioned the depth, the tight end room, the best tight end room in the country. How do you use those guys, and what does their offensive team look like?
It's going to be scary. We have that many tight ends, 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. They're going to live in it. Why are they going to live in it? Because they can get heavy, they'll run downhill at you. They can also spread you out, go 5 wide if they wanted to. I mean, talking about Brock Bowers, who is a receiver in a tight end body. Eric Middleton's a receiver in a tight end body. Darnell Washington might be the biggest human being I've seen in the whole uniform. You get those guys on the field. Here's what happens. You get those guys on the field in 13 personnel. As soon as that personnel comes into the game, the defense then is signaling 13 personnel. Which for a normal team, we got to get big. Got to bring another big guy in up front. Got to bring an extra linebacker in. But now, all of a sudden, you start in a condensed set. Big tight ends. We're going to run downhill. Oh, now let's spread it out. Now you got a linebacker in space that's trying to run with Eric Gilbert or Brock Bowers down the middle of the field. It is going to be an absolute nightmare. So what do? Well, let's not have that linebacker on the field. Let's keep a nickel or we'll stay in dime personnel. But, oh, wait, now we got a 210-pound nickel back trying to go one-on-one with Brock Bowers or Darnell Washington. Now they're running it right down your hill, right down at you with Kendall Milton, Kenny McIntosh. So it's going to be so difficult. And if you look at those numbers from Stetson, one of the best areas he was in play action. They're going to just gas people with play action next year once again. And just one more thing. I know I'm ranting now. I love the offense. The receiver situation is interesting, right? You lose Jermaine Burton. I know the tight ends are great, but you're going to need a receiver out there. You have Ladd McConkey. A.D. Mitchell is going to have a monster year. He's pretty much 1A and 1B with Ladd McConkey as returning receivers. He was just behind in production. A.D. Mitchell's a stud. He's a superstar in the waiting. He's going to have a big opportunity this year as well.
Also, the other such a hard thing to stop or defend. When I see 13 personnel, like you said, I want to get big. What they will do is they were going to line up, and we all know how great they were, wide receiver screens thrown to Brock Bowers. You get these 2 big tight ends, you put them, you just hide Brock Bowers right behind. Throw it right back out there to him. You got big blockers right there that's already set up.
So the matchup is so hard. You don't want to tackle that.
No, not at all. Guys, you're looking at Kirby Smart live. This is happening as we speak, and he's making his way into the College Football Hall of Fame. Was that a no paparazzi? Sorry, Kirby, you're going to be on camera a lot today. I hate to tell you that. I think it was just a wave. I actually see him coming right through there. It's pretty cool in here in the College Football Hall of Fame. Fans can enter in, and we've had a lot of them here for the various schools this week. There are quite a few Georgia fans out there ready to welcome their national championship winning coach. Pittman, I want to go back to you because obviously with your experience as a tight end, seeing what this offense is going to look like and some of the things that Jordan mentioned, what would you like to add on this Bulldog offense?
What I want to add? I want to add a tight end in the backfield. I think we saw a little bit of that. We saw Brock Bowers do some tight end reverses. You know, I think for Stetson Bennett, there's a comfortability for quarterbacks. You can probably speak to this as well. But there's a comfortability when you have tight ends that you can trust. You know where they're going to be. You know they're going to block your blind side. They can win in one-on-one matchups against safeties or against linebackers. And quarterbacks are also creatures of habit. And so part of the reason why I know the tight ends are going to be a big part of the offense this year is because they were last year. Anytime a quarterback, especially a first-year quarterback like Stetson Bennett was last year, the way he played, he's going to go back to that this year. Tom Monken knows what he has in that room. And so, and one guy we didn't mention was Oscar Delson. And so he is another freshman that's coming in that's highly touted. That's going to, I don't know how he's going to get the rotation there, but they're going to find.
You mentioned it. Why is the tight end a quarterback's best friend? Think about it. We're the best athletes on defense. Secondary.
Yep.
Where's the tight end work?
Over the middle.
Sometimes over the middle, working on linebackers and stuff. So you have a better athlete working on a lesser athlete, closer to you, shorter throws. Quarterbacks love a good tight end.
Yeah, we've seen the live shots of Kirby Smart arriving here. I can see the fans swarming him out there. We'll continue to show his arrival as he heads to the podium in about a half hour, and you'll be hearing from him and other Georgia players throughout today. Coming up next, though, we're getting into the Florida Gators. They also make an appearance here at SEC Media Days today with Billy Napier getting his first shot at the podium. Be interested to see what he had to say. And then, of course, all the conversation around Anthony Richardson. What can he do with an opportunity to be the true starter? He was such a dynamic change of pace for Florida's offense. How do they use it this year? We'll be right back.
Oh, that beautiful meat footage. We should maybe either side at a good time.
I'm a fancy exercise bike dude. And I'm going from 0 to obsessed in like 3 days. After riding 12 miles to nowhere, I'm taking a cheese. And if you don't have the right home insurance coverage, you're going to be working out a way to pay for this yourself.
Get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem for a whole lot less.
80% of couples sleep too hot or too cold. Because quality sleep is vital, the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is temperature agnostic, so you both stay cool. Our smart sleepers get 28 minutes more restful sleep per night. Save 40% on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, Queen, now only $14.99.
You?
That muscle, come on. One more time.
Motivation that moves you.
I think I knew it was time to start looking into treatments when I was looking around with my friends, just looking into terrific. Once I found Neurox, I just found it really easy. I did it in my pajamas. I feel like it really healthier. I feel really good.
Prescription skin medication at Neurox.com today.
This first SEC
showing up, showing up. Florida, that's just
It's interesting because Anthony Richardson got a ton of attention last year with Emory Jones. He's now transferred to Arizona State. Now he gets a chance to truly be the starting quarterback. It felt like they held him back a little bit, sometimes on purpose, and injury factored in as you think about the Gators' year last year. And now in a new regime, Anthony Richardson with a fresh start, a fresh opportunity. And when you think about what this offense is going to look like, Jordan, and we'll hear from Napier as well as the Florida players later on today, is Richardson good enough to make up for some of the deficiencies potentially around him?
He is, and he's going to have to be. Right? I mean, you lose your top three rushers, your number one wide receiver, number one tight end, right? Emory Jones, who played a lot of significant football. I mean, Anthony Richardson was a little bit, not entirely a gadget guy last year, but he had a smaller package of plays that he came in and executed because he's just, I mean, he's the best athlete in the SEC, I think, in totality, right? So the problem is, Billy Napier's got to try to get him to be more consistent down in and down out, but also simultaneously, you're going to have to put more on him because he's going to be more of your offense using his legs and his arms. So they're going to have to figure out how to get him comfortable early on. Justin Shorter's back, Xavier Henderson. They got a transfer from Arizona State. So there's some pieces around him, but he's just going to limit the mistakes and also Billy Napier's give him opportunities to make those wild plays. As often as possible, you're going to get some mistakes here and there, but the wild plays are going to carry you a lot further than just dinking and dunking and trying to be safe with them.
He's going to have to get used to going against zero pressure. Because when I watch him, I'm sitting in the house. I want him to beat me with his arm. And if I can keep him in the pocket, I'm in. Long term, that's what you want. You see all the highlight plays. It's him running 70 yards. It's him jumping over people. I don't want that. I don't want him getting to the second and third level without somebody holding on to his jersey. So he must get used to playing against zero coverage. I'm bringing the house. I'm edge freshing it or right up in the middle. And we're going to have one-on-one, zero coverage on the outside because I'm not afraid of the outside weapons like George mentioned. So until those guys step up and show me that they can beat me in one-on-one matchups, because I know the quarterback can. So I don't know about the other guys, but he ain't going to beat me. So that is what he's going to have to see a lot of.
We're going to bring up Florida's schedule here in just a moment. Benjamin, when you think about the games and what this is going to look like for them, I mean, week 2 against Kentucky, well, sorry, let's start with week 1. Utah's hard enough. They do have to come to Gainesville, but walk us through this and your expectations.
Well, that Utah game is a tough game. I think you heard Pittman talk about earlier when you talked about Cincinnati and the fact that you never know when you have these conference games who's going to be good. But Utah always plays tough. They're a very good, well-coached. Somebody's over the Ohio State and Rose Bowl. Exactly. And so Billy Napier come in, you know, he's done so well in the Sun Belt Conference, but that's going to be a big test for them. We talk about Kentucky, an established quarterback. Stoops has done a great job there. South Florida. Tennessee is one I'm looking at because with Hendon Hooker and Anthony Richardson, you've got two guys that could be possibly going on the same type of trajectory. And Georgia clearly is going to be the game. We can't call it the cocktail party anymore, right?
No, I mean you did. But
I did.
You're allowed one of those in a year. That's done.
But that's going to be the game that everybody's circling because of the Howell last year, because that game is obviously a rivalry game. But when I think about Anthony Richardson and I look at Billy Napier, what he did with Levi Lewis in Louisiana, the sky's the limit for this kid. I mean, athletically, he's got it all. He does have to play better. He has to play more consistently. But defensively, Florida wasn't good. They were not good at all last year. So the best way to help a quarterback that is getting his first year of starting is to have a good defense.
I want to go there because they allowed 26.8 points per game last season. They only returned 34% of production this season from last year, however you look at that. But this is pretty interesting, Roman. They welcome in co-defensive coordinators. One of them is Patrick Toney. He was with Napier at UL Lafayette, so he's familiar with him. And then Sean Spencer from the NFL, who comes from the Giants. How do you think that's going to look? And just maybe specific improvements that they need to make based off of the personnel there.
They have to be able to get alignment and assignment and just play sound football.
Like, keep it simple. Yeah.
Simple, stupid. It was amazing to me how many times guys would go in motion or they run switch routes or just crossing routes, and somebody's wide open for Florida last year. And those are the things that they never adjusted. Sometimes you just need to just sit there and just let it all unfold and come to you. And so they would not do that. And Florida would never adjust, and Tom Grantham was gone because of that. But then everything kind of blew up. And Florida was not the team
who we know that they are, especially after you saw them play against Alabama earlier in the year.
Right.
You saw them look so good, and everybody that this is the Florida team that's going to be scary and compete against Georgia. And they were never the same after that. So they have to be better defensively, and I don't know how you get there. I'd love to see how they're going.
Well, part of how you get there is obviously you got to get better players. But here's what I'll say: Sean Spence was, I call him Spence, Coach Spence. He was a coach at Vandy with me at Penn State with James Franklin. A lot of defense is attitude. Right? You can have really good players. If their attitude and mentality is right, they can be great. You can have great players with the wrong attitude. They don't fly around. They're not violent out there. Sean Spence, he will have them going.
Yeah.
That D-line is one of the best D-line coaches that I've ever been around. He calls them the wild dogs up front. He wants guys that play intensely. He wants guys that fly around. He will let you make a mistake if you're going 100% or 100 miles an hour. So that defensive line is going to be much improved because I think he's going to bring a different mentality up there.
I do want to say we misspoke. It's Sean Spence, as you just said. I said Spencer. I want to go quickly to just the SEC East. Is Florida a legit contender in the East?
I don't think you say that right now, a contender, but here's what Florida needs to do. That they need to, and eventually they will be competing for East titles. I believe in Billy Napier, but right now they need to separate themselves from that second tier. Right, that second tier is really competitive right now. For years they haven't been able to separate from Kentucky's, from South Carolina's, from Tennessee's. That is a competitive group right now. They need to start separating themselves there first before they chase down East titles.
Yeah, I think one way you separate yourself is through recruiting. And Florida has had abysmal recruiting over the last couple of years. I mean, this 2022 class was 32nd, lowest for them in 20 years. So that's part of the reason why Napier is there, because he is a rabid recruiter. Florida has made a huge commitment to their facilities, $85 million in their new facilities there. So in this age of recruiting and impressing high school players, I think that Florida is poised to enter that, that second tier and move beyond that, but it has to start with that pipeline of high school players.
In recruiting, you got to keep up with the Joneses. Then, the other Joneses get way far ahead of you after just 1 year, and all of a sudden you're like, what happened? We just redid our facilities, and now we're going to do all this extra stuff. But that's the nature of the beast in the SEC. We're going to continue with the SEC East as Kentucky is coming to Atlanta today. We'll hear from those guys. And Will Levis, what an opportunity he has. Mark Stoops hit the podium at 225. He'll be asked about his quarterback a lot. Improvements that need to be made. We'll talk about that next. So I think now.
Welcome to Allstate, where anyone who bundles their home and auto insurance saves. Isn't that right, Phil?
Sorry, I'm a little busy.
What in the world are you doing?
In the metaverse, bundling
Okay.
and auto insurance.
Let's see here. All right, what's going on, buddy?
Because now I can bundle.
Okay. I had Coach Pittman on earlier. Panels had a lot of good questions, had a lot of interaction there. It's been up here on the Twitterverse here, seeing what's going on and checking out the guys over at Crane & Company and Late Kick. We appreciate everybody stopping here for some live SEC Media Day coverage. This is day 3 for the SEC Media Day. They're down there in hot Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame. So fantastic place. If you hadn't ever been out there, it's a good place to go by and check everything out. Really, really nice facility. It's got a lot of history up there. They got some video booths. When we were there, you could go in and watch some old stuff from old players and old coaches, and you can sit down in the booths there and the TVs, and they're playing old games from got way back in the 60s and all kind of stuff. They have old jerseys. You can see old style helmets, and with the Heisman Trophy and National Championship both being in the SEC this year, they have both of those there on scene through the week. So, again, we appreciate everybody for coming by. And the Kirby, it should be on here in just a little bit, about 9:30, so probably about 15 minutes or so. We'll see Kirby Smart. So let's take a little break here, and I'll be right back with you in about 15 minutes. All right, thank you guys. Hang right on. Thank you for coming by here at Primetime Sports Network, the SEC coverage here on YouTube. You can also find the Matt and Todd Show on Facebook, and we share lots of pictures stuff over on Instagram, and we always got something going on, and local stuff will be kicking off. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's see what we got going on here. I've Coach Smart coming up here in just a minute, see what he's got to say. We appreciate you guys stopping by the Matt and Todd Show. Doing some SEC Media Day coverage, day number 3 for Primetime Sports Network. Find us over there on Twitter at BigMatt1977, primetime _ capital SEC. Let's get right back to it.
Georgia's identity last year and really their road to the national championship was built on the bricks of their defensive performances. So one thing people know is who's coming, who's going to replace them, and then obviously the man at the center, which is Bennett. How is he doing? What does that quarterback room look like? Because there's a lot of talent in that quarterback room. And quite honestly, from much of what we've heard this offseason, while Bennett is the starter, I think there's still a lot of conversation about a lot of the guys that are in that quarterback.
You talked about that first game, probably, right? Oregon.
Yeah.
Coming across the country. How soon we forget Oregon beat up Ohio State at one point traveling across the country. You got a guy that knows everything about your defense, everything about those new guys, what they do well, what schemes give them problems. So that'll be a fun coaching matchup that I can't wait for. I'm sure they'll be asked.
I would also just like to point out how cool it is that once again we have the reigning national champion here at SEC Media Days. This has been something that's happened the last 3 years, obviously, and many times before that as well. But what a celebration for the conference that we can say the national champion is right here at this podium. Of course, many people would say Alabama favored to win this coming season's national championship, but Georgia right in that conversation. It speaks to the strength of this conference and the greatness that we see on this podium.
I'm just really excited. I want to see Kirby be himself. What is it like to be a champion? Now that it's so hard to get there. Yeah. And all of a sudden now you reach the top of the mountain. And now trying to stay up there, it's so hard because once you get there, everybody's trying to knock you down. It's so hard to talk about all the journeys and the speech that you're so used to giving at the end of the year when you don't make it. Right? Everybody has that speech. You got that speech. Yeah. That's easy. But the ones that all of a sudden you do it. And now you're at the top of the mountain. And now trying to get back there, it is so hard. And trying to keep the guys on your roster still hungry. They got to still be hungry. And you can't worry about all the success we had last year. But now we got to find a way to get us back there some kind of way, guys. And it's going to be different. It's not going to look the same. So how do we get there?
Yeah, and Jordan, when you think about the story of last year's team, I do think it's instructive to this year because they obviously thought, well, wow, we lose to Alabama in an SEC championship. What's going to happen? They were going to be in the college football playoff, but to lose that game and then to have a rematch against them again, the mental side of this is remarkable. Obviously, the players have a huge piece in it, but Kirby and his staff motivating them, I think, is something that they can lean on for this year, too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Yogi Berra that said 90% of the game is half mental, something like that. I mean, it's a mental game. And when you're a player, when you've gone through adversity, you've lost, you've overcome it. I mean, it's going to be a different Georgia football team. But because they did, to your point, what they did last year, all those new faces are going to be much more confident. Right? The guys around that are still on that roster, looking to them for leadership. So coaches can instill leadership. Coaches can develop players, but really, it takes a group of players to lead players and to get back there.
You look at on the side of your screen there, 7 returning starters on offense, just 3 on defense. I mean, it does tell the story, but we've talked about it up here on the set today. Jalen Carter is going to be a big key piece, and he's somebody that so many of us thought already might be better than Jordan Davis. He's still got time to do that, although it's hard to say you're going to be better than Jordan Davis. Congratulations once again to the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart, we finally get to hear what he has to say here at SEC Media Days. We'll be back with you on the other side of this press conference to talk about all of it. Florida still to come today, Kentucky still to come today, as we bring you everything live from SEC Media Days here in Atlanta. We send it now over to Commissioner Greg Sankey to introduce Kirby Smart and another national champion here in the SEC. It's great to be in this conference, the best conference in all the land, and I'm sure Greg Sankey's about to say something about that too.
Just walked out and the photographer said that's not Kirby, so thanks for the validation there, gentlemen. Then it wasn't with excitement. So next up, Kirby Smart. Kirby is the defending national championship coach, obviously. It's a 2-time SEC Coach of the Year. Kirby and I, post-game in Indianapolis, had an interaction, and we had 2 teams, so you want to be respectful. We have a victorious team and a losing team. Really energetic post-game celebration. I've never seen a head coach jumping up, running at people, and chest bumping as much as Kirby did after that victory. And he started to do the same with me, and I looked at him and said, if you do that to me, you'll probably knock me down and hurt me. So we just had a handshake moment. During that weekend in Indianapolis, his family was a part of all that happened around the game. The College Football Playoff has a foundation, supports a program called Extra Yards for Teachers. There's a 5K held every year around the College Football Playoff. I ran this year in the freezing cold, along with Kirby's wife, Mary Beth, and his oldest son, Weston. Fun to see their family experiencing the full scope of the national championship events. Georgia's played in the national championship game twice in the past 6 years, the other being here in Atlanta as a player. He led the SEC in interceptions in 1998 with 13 career interceptions. He's still ranked 6th in the school's record book. When he's not coaching, as I referenced, he's a father, highly competitive in pickleball. I'll let you ask him about that. And since I made a Netflix reference yesterday, he and Mary Beth enjoy Netflix. They're fans of Ozark and currently with their children watching the show called Stranger Things. So it's my privilege to introduce the coach of the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs, Kirby Smart.
Well, sounds like my wife is giving all the secrets away there. I wondered why she asked me the other day if me talking about pickleball was okay. So she obviously had gotten requests from Greg. But thanks, Greg. I appreciate all you do for our conference, our game. He works tirelessly alongside of our presidents. And I'm very fortunate at the University of Georgia to have one of the best presidents in the business. President Moorhead is the member or leader of so many committees. I can't even remember all the names of them, but he does a tremendous job trying to make sure that our game is safe and that things are headed in the right direction. And I appreciate what he does for us. I want to do reverse order today. So I usually thank you guys at the end. I would be remiss if I did not thank you guys for the incredible coverage you give us. And this conference is second to none. I've been in other conferences. I've worked in other conferences. This is my 24th year being involved in the SEC, and it literally is the best there is. And you guys make it that way, so I really appreciate what all you guys do. I also want to take a chance or take an opportunity to give a shout out for the 50th anniversary of Title IX. You know, I got a wife at home that played college basketball. That wouldn't have been possible without Title IX. And also am a girl dad. My daughter Julia is an athlete and runs cross country, plays basketball, and you know I want to thank the people and the leaders in the SEC who have promoted women's sports for a long time. And our women's sports programs in the SEC are incredible, most competitive there is of any conference there is out there in all sports. So I love being able to honor that anniversary as well. I'd also be remiss if I didn't talk about our opening game. You know, the Chick-fil-A kickoff game for us. We get to open against Oregon. I get to go against a longtime friend and a guy that meant so much to our program, and Dan Lanning. But we open against Oregon right here in Atlanta, and we're excited for that opportunity. We get a chance to represent the SEC right off the jump. So our players are excited about that, and so am I. I'm also going to go reverse order and talk about the players that we have here today. I mean, usually I end with that, but you know, we got a special group here. I think anybody would be proud of the players they bring. That's why you bring them. But this group is really special to me. Stetson Bennett, we all know his story. I think you guys, if you ever wanted to do a documentary, this guy's been through it. When you look at what he's done and what all he's been able to do, he's going to graduate this fall in economics. You know, he's from, I like to kid him because people think he's from Blackshear. He's actually from Nahunta. So if you want to do some research, go look up where Nahunta is, and he was a transplant to Blackshear from Nahunta down in South Georgia, and certainly a great family, and he's going to graduate in the fall, like I said. Noah Smith is now a math major, and he'll be soon to graduate. He's come back for his senior year. What an incredible personality he has. He's one of these players that pushes our team. I tell the story all the time about our players working out, and as strength coaches and leaders in our organization, we don't like for our players to bend over. We feel like it shows weakness if you bend over during your runs. And Nolan was screaming so loud one day at our players. I had my young 10-year-old out there, Andrew, and he was trying to keep up with the players running 40s. And Nolan screamed and yelled about being bent over. And I was looking at Andrew, my son. He was bent over, and he popped up real fast. So when Nolan screams at you, you wake up quick. And he demands a lot of respect in our program because of the way he works. He's from Savannah, Georgia. And then the third guy we were able to bring was Cedric Van Prant, who's been our center, kind of our caller of fronts. He was a tremendous guy to recruit. He does everything the right way. He's from New Orleans. He's a communications major, and one of our guys that we think is a leader on our team and our offensive line unit. He's got a lot of guys returning. So I'm excited about those three players. I hope you'll spend time, talk with them, visit with them, and just get to have a good time with them. One other quick story I want to share with about Nolan. He's kind of the jokester on the team, so he likes to crack jokes and do things. And around December 23rd of last year, we were preparing for Michigan and the playoff run, and we had a team Christmas party. And we had a team meeting before it. And I was up in front of the team. Everybody was there. We had a little roll call check. We were checking the seats. No one there. He comes running in, and he had a box in his hand and said, Coach, the team bought you a Christmas present. Well, it was just for men, hair coloring, to help out with these grades that I got going on here. And, of course, I thought it was hilarious. He thought it was hilarious. He keeps everything loose for the guys, but I didn't make him run but about 30 sprints for that. So he's a fun guy to be around. Needless to say, you guys spent time with him today. We started this thing off last year with the quote, success comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Well, we embraced that last year, and guess what? That didn't change. So for our team, it's embedded in what we do. We didn't build this program on hoping for one-year wonders or hoping for one opportunity. We built a program to sustain. And you sustain it by what you do every single day. And this program was built to be here for a long time. And we have an unbelievable footprint with which we get to recruit. So the 5-hour radius of Georgia gives us a chance to be around some of the best football student athletes there are in the country. So we'll continue to recruit those, develop those, also going nationally. But the team that we have coming back, I've been around, done the rounds this morning. I'll bet you at least 50 people have asked me the question. So feel free when we open up for questions to ask me the concern there is for complacency. It's not concerned me in the least. Because to be complacent, you have to have done something and achieved something. The men on this team for this season have not done that. They have not. There's 15 players that are now gone to NFL camps or draft picks. They're gone. And we have some returning players. They're hungry as ever. People ask the question, how does it feel to be hunted? We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction. It's not something we're going to sit back and be passive about. Our guys have asked questions, and we've done a lot of studies on how the mighty have fallen. So we have skull sessions. We have 15-minute meetings, 20-minute meetings in breakout groups, and we've actually taught how the mighty have fallen. I'm talking about business. I'm talking about sports. I'm talking about history. So you learn from the mistakes of others, and for us, it really steers down to one cultural belief that we have a connection that's greater than our opponent. We're all going to be tough. We're all going to be physical in the SEC. But can we be better connected together? Can we have 1 + 1 = 3? Because for us, 1 + 1 = 3 means we get more together than we do apart. And this team believes that. I'm excited about this team because there's a lot of opportunity. People say, you have the talent. You have enough talent within your program. We've got plenty of talent. What we lack right now is experience. That's our job as coaches, to put those guys in a position to be successful and react in a calm manner and have the experience they need to go play well against Oregon. That game will help set us up for our SEC gauntlet that we have coming up after that. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Allie, Lexi, and Blake, we'll get a microphone to you. And so we'll start right here on the front aisle. Go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
I know Suggs, another businessman. I want to ask you, what did you learn during the title run that helped you all this season?
Well, I think the biggest thing is time management for us during that time. We probably did more work in that championship run than we did in previous years. So the previous playoff we didn't practice as many days in pads. We didn't condition as much as we did in this one. We felt like that was a very integral part to our team is, could we be the best conditioned team when we played Michigan? Could we be the best conditioned team when we played Alabama? And that was something that we really honed in on and thought was important. And our players bought into it. You know, you can't go in a room and say, hey, guys, we're going to run extra after practice, and they're going to feel good about it. They got to believe it. So we had a small group that felt like that was important, and they did it. That's probably the one thing, pushing the guys at the end of the year more than we usually do.
Over here to our left, second row.
Coach, you said after the Lance McGurley, we're going to use. You said after the spring game that this team needed to find its own identity. And the fall camp is around the corner. Do you have any indication of what this team's identity might be heading into this upcoming season?
Yeah, hungry. I talked about it earlier. I mean, there's a hunger among this group that want to prove that they can replace the other guy. They don't want to be the other guy. They want to be the next guy. You look across the board, we have some really high-profile players, really on defense and offense, when you count the backs and receivers, that we have to replace those guys. And the hunger comes from the opportunity the talented players behind them have. And I'm excited. That's why complacency is something that happens to people that don't look what's going on. We don't have that problem. It's not a day that we don't wake up and think, what can we do better to make our program better, and our players are doing that right now.
Okay, we're going to go over here on the right side, on the far right.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN from Huntsville, Alabama. I noticed the second game of the year you're playing Sanford and Coach Hatcher as well. If you could talk about your experiences at Valdosta State in the Gulf South Conference and kind of come in full circle, if you will, and getting to.
Well, how long you got? Because I can tell you about a 20-hour bus ride I took to Arkadelphia. I can tell you about Texarkana. I can tell you about all the different places I went in Mississippi that I didn't know existed. But it's where I cut my teeth as a coach. And there were some really long bus rides. We built our own lockers. I was hired for $5,000, and he later promoted me to $10,000 after I did academics and did a salary cap on Division II, which you work off of equivalencies. You don't have full rides. I learned a lot while I worked at Valdosta State, and you only learn trial by fire. And I certainly appreciate Coach Hatcher for giving me that opportunity. He's at Sanford, which is my father's alma mater. My dad played at Sanford and was a college football player there, so it's always unique when we get to play Sanford because my dad gets to pull for his old school. And Hatcher's a good friend, and he's done a tremendous job.
We're going to go right in front of you. It's Nero.
Good morning, Coach. Johnny Ballhart Franks with Franks Media in Nashville and Huntsville. You alluded to this earlier. You've been part of national championship programs with Georgia and Alabama. I'm curious, you've also seen the other side of that coin. What's the biggest differences and similarities in the offseason and being able to manage expectations as you prepare for the upcoming season?
I think they're all different. You know, I go back to my first year at LSU. People don't realize they were coming off a national title. I was not part of that. But we had a tremendous team coming back, like uber talented, a lot of draft picks. That was probably one of the toughest jobs that's ever been, because you had complacency. You had guys that were going to be first-round picks no matter how they played, off of how they played the year they won the national championship. And then you fast forward through the four that were able to win in Alabama. You have experience. Right now, our staff at Georgia, I have a tremendous staff, probably the best staff I've ever had since I've been there. In terms of continuity, okay, we had 4 coaches change, but the 4 new coaches we've gotten have really jumped on board, grabbed things. They know how to manage the situation. We got 3 or 4 coaches who've done this before in terms of having won a championship and understanding what it takes to do it again. And it's really, every situation is different because I've been on teams that had a lot of talent coming back, and I've had a lot of them that had to replace talent. We're having to replace a lot of really good football players. Great news is we recruited well. We've got good football players. We need experience. But what I love about it is complacency is not the concern. Experience is the concern. And our kids will buy into that, and we'll get it ready in fall camp.
We'll go over here to our left, third row.
Coach Ben Borlaug from the State Newspaper. I'll be a coach. You've obviously known Will Muschamp for a long time. I guess just what does he bring as a co-defensive coordinator this year? And I guess how has he kind of added to the program since y'all brought him on board last year?
Yeah, Will's been a tremendous asset for me as a head coach because you value people who have been in your seat. So Todd Monken's been a head coach. You know, Matt Luke was that way for us as well. He'd been a head coach. Mel Tucker had been in a lot of roles before he left us. So I value that experience he's had. and understanding the do's and don'ts, things, ways to do things, how to practice, how you run your organization, and also it gives you ability to delegate too. You got to take some things off your hand. I can focus my attention in other areas if I know he's in charge of something because he's done it. He's been unbelievable. He's a great staff guy. He's super positive with our players. Players enjoy and love being around. His spring.
Okay,
but people forget Darnell and Rock were both out. So the opportunity he got, he sees that opportunity to grow and develop. He will have to continue to do that to be a major contributor for us. And, he's bought into doing that and being a team player. There's a lot more to being a tight end than just catching the ball, and he's bought into that.
Great tight end for Georgia, man.
Me about midway back. Go ahead. Good morning, Coach. DJ Jones, Sports Bridges in Columbus. Mikael Williams out of Columbus, Georgia, reports out that he's going to be able to help you, and he's only been on campus a few months. Can you talk about his development and what stands out about him?
Yeah, the number one thing that stands out about Mikael is his work ethic. You never hear anything about him academically. I look out my window and I see him out there doing extra after every practice. I let him work the other day on a Sunday, and he's out there hitting a sled on Sunday. So, guys, when you got a freshman that's out there on Sunday on his own, on turf, 115 degrees out there, and he's out there striking a sled, something special. And he's talented. I'm excited for him. I can't say what his role is going to be right now because I don't know fully which way we'll use him, where we'll play him, but he's a great athlete. He's a great young man. He comes from a great family and a great program.
He'll step up a few, brother. You're going to Mike Griffin.
Griffith from AJC Dog Nation. So Lane Kiffin told us how much you enjoy talking about Alabama and Nick Saban when you come here. So I want to ask you about object constancy, if you've ever heard that word, number one. And number two, I guess it was a few years ago, you said, if it ain't broke, find a way to make it better. Are there some things that you're looking at Georgia coming off a national title season, maybe not broke, that you plan to make better?
Yeah, we do a kind of intrusive look every year at what we can do. How do we do in red area? How do we do in turnovers? What are we doing wrong? How are other people doing it better? So, like, I think every college coach that's worth a dime, he's going to go talk to other coaches and figure out a better way. I give a lot of credit to Coach Monken and Coach Schumann. Both those two guys, they love getting on Zoom. They love talking to NFL coaches and figuring out a new way to do it. How deep do you play your safety? How do you run your mesh route? What's something new you're doing on the inside zone? We're constantly looking to get better, and our staff does a lot of projects. We've got a lot of quality control analyst guys that bring a lot of information to our staff and have made us a better program. So, we're constantly looking to get better. But at the end of the day, it's how do you use your players best? Who utilizes James Cook or Brock Bowers, or who utilizes a guy like Channing Tindall as a third linebacker? How are you using the skill set of your players? And that's what players want. At the end of the day, players want to say, how are you going to utilize my skill set? What package can you take me as a rusher, me as a run stopper, me as a pass catcher, and utilize that skill set? And that's what we spend our time on.
We're right down the center aisle again.
Hey, Coach. Chris Norler, Saturday on South. First off, congrats. Bear with me here because my family's all Alabama fans, so relive this moment. You get to the national championship game. Stetson Bennett has been like the scapegoat, it seems like, for almost 2 years as the quarterback. You're down 1 in the fourth quarter. Up to that point, he had thrown 5 interceptions in the 2 games against Bama. He had like 2 of 5 for like 14 yards in the second half. You still go back to the well, and he goes 3 for 3, drives back on the field, has a game-winning drive. What kind of sense of like personal victory did that feel like for you, trusting your own instincts as somebody that didn't question so many times before in games against Bama?
Yeah, I don't know that it was any
personal dedication. It's what you do as a coach. I go off how we practice, what guys show us in practice. I've seen Stetson Bennett make those plays repeatedly in practice. And, the conversation with Coach Michael was to be aggressive and go play to win the game. You're not going to hide behind your quarterback and win a national championship. You got to go let him play. And I thought Coach Michael and the offensive staff did an unbelievable job bouncing back. They were really unfortunate in a lot of those opportunities early in the game. It wasn't a matter of Stetson playing poorly. It was self-inflicted wounds. It wasn't a matter of, we started inside the 5. We started getting a penalty. We averaged second down was over 10 yards. You're not going to win games doing that. And a lot of it was what we did. So when we control what we do and we do the right way, Stetson can be a major factor. Look, Stetson's one of the least respected good players there is in this country. And guess what? We get to see it every day. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got a good arm strength. People just keep doubting him, and that's fine with me.
Coach, we'll go over here on the left-hand side. Oh, yeah. Good morning, Coach. Michael Giddens, the War for Auburn. You mentioned in your opening statement that you feel good about the state of development at the University of Georgia. Stetson Bennett didn't start the season as their starter, but he finished the national champion. Given the state of development, how do you feel about the pipeline behind him? Have you guys identified a guy this spring? Has anybody stood out to step in case you need him at quarterback station?
Yeah, I think if you're a good coach, you don't win the season without thinking you got 2 or 3 guys that come in and play, especially in our conference. You're going to get hit, you're going to get tackled, you're going to get knocked back, and he's going to probably have to run the ball some. So that puts him at risk of injury. And our quarterback room right now, I'm extremely confident in. Carson Beck's been in the program, done a lot of good things. He was a guy who won a state championship in high school, did a tremendous job. Brock Vandiger is a tremendous athlete who has got a tremendous upside. He's gotten better and better. Those 2 guys are growing rapidly because of the number of reps they're getting. And then Gunnar Stockton spent spring with us, who's a good athlete we're excited about. So I feel really confident about our quarterback room, confident because Ash Stetson returning, but confident because we have competent, well-coached backups as well.
Hey, Coach, third row.
Coach Drew DeAlvin, WCBN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. I know you worked with him extensively at the University of Alabama, and then 2 years ago you brought Scott Crocker with you. You guys had a very close personal relationship. I know you had to take a step away from your program. You tweeted something out personally on July the 4th about being even more than the national champion rings he's won at Alabama, Georgia, being 1 year sober. What does he mean to your program, and how did you guys support him to help him come back and now be a big part of your program?
We're committed to having conversations, and the commitment to Scott was that he's committed to our program and getting better. And you look at what he's done with our players, I don't think you'd find, we got a lot of exceptional people in our organization. Jonas Jennings, Brian Gannett, Scott seems like go on forever, but Scott Cochran spends a tremendous amount of time with our players on a personal level, and they value the relationship that he creates with them. He spends time with them, meaningful time with them, and I think a lot of our players saw the human side with Scott, and that we all know addiction is real. It probably affected me as the leader of the organization for the first time to have someone on your staff be involved with that. And I got a lot of help from outside sources on how to do it. And I'm so proud of what he's done and how he's fought back to bring himself back and be the husband and father that he's always been. And he's a tremendous husband and father, and that's first. And he's a mentor to the players on our team. And he's got tons of players that played at Alabama that still reach out to him and talk to him. And come and work out at our place and come see him because they value that relationship that he had with them. He's a special person who's meant a lot to a lot of people. So we've stood there by him and supported him, and we'll continue to do that.
Coach, we'll go over here on the left side again on the far right.
Yes, Coach David Friedlander with the Post. Circle back to Stetson. You mentioned about how you think he's one of the least respected and good players. Looking, though, more as a leader, though, can you speak to what differences, if any, that you see in him as a leader now as opposed to when he first stepped into the starting job?
Yeah, I think now he has a little more, what's the right word, support because he is the guy. It's hard for players around you to have conviction you're the guy if you're not the starter. He wasn't the starter at this time last year, this time 2 years ago. He started intermittently throughout 2 years ago, and then once he won the job, I
think he's created a little bit of momentum with our players, our skill players, because there's not a doubt there. Understand, he knows the system. He can get them the ball. He can throw the ball vertically down the field. He can throw deep comebacks. He can scramble around and make a play with his feet. And I think they value that. That's given him a little more credibility, which credibility to me is earned, right? He earned that by the way he played at the end of the year, most of the season, and he continues to do that the way he leads out there in 7-on-7 practice.
We'll start here in the front row, right in front of me, Coach.
Hi, Anna Reagans with Dog Post. So earlier, Nolan Smith described the defense as the oldest brothers of the group. So what do you expect from this defense this season and moving forward?
My expectation for our defense is to be fast and physical. Look, we don't shy away from the fact that we've had success on defense, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone to recruit a kid and they said, well, they told us y'all weren't going to be any good on defense this year. You're losing everybody. They said that 2 years ago. They said that last year. They're saying that this year. Look, if you go recruit really good football players and they're fast and physical, you'll play good defense. You'll play good defense. And good defense sometimes is a loose term in college football right now because giving up 20 sometimes is good defense. And we don't like to change our standards, and we know we're going to have a good defense year in and year out. Just different strengths and different weaknesses, but no one will certainly be a big part of that.
We'll go here to the right.
Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. When it comes to NIL, how does your program approach it? And is there anything that you think needs to change about how it's structured in college football?
Yeah, the good question, right? Everybody waits for that one for all the conversation. But, you know, the NIL program we have in place, we have a Classic City Collective run by Matt Hibbs, who does a tremendous job. It's built on being sustainable because I don't think what's going on in college football right now at some places is sustainable, meaning can you do that year in and year out and repeat that? Can you honor the commitment that some people are trying to make to kids to get them to go to their school? It's not good for college football what's out there. What is good is good on the basis of what NIL is based on, okay? For Dan Jackson to be a walk-on from Gainesville, Georgia, and come in and get an opportunity to earn money for his education, that is good. For a young man that has a father that's on dialysis down in South Georgia, and he can't support his father unless he goes back home and works or he gets NIL, that is good. 95 players right now with NIL deals that are on our roster. That's incredible, the depth of that. There's so much good there. It's the guardrails, it's the parameters that we need to protect our game, and not only protect our game, guys, it's protect young men. Okay? Because for a young man we may have had the highest paid defensive lineman last year in NIL, Jordan Davis. We had the highest paid tight end in Brock Bowers. Keith Ringo, I would argue, is probably one of the highest paid corners there is in NIL. So NIL can be a good thing, and they can learn to manage money at a young age. But to use it as an inducement to get a young man to go to your school is not good for anybody or the game. I don't have the answer for how to guardrail that. But NIL has been good to Georgia, and it's been good to our players, and it will continue to be.
One final question right in front of me, 3 rows back.
Morning, Coach. Kobe Serino of Bulldog Illustrated. With your tight end room being all the rage right now, I just wanted to ask how you think the new blocking rule will affect tight end play at Georgia.
It shouldn't affect us. The new blocking rule, which was a part of the committee that put that in place, we're not a big team that cuts and blocks that way. So it's a safety issue, and we like to block man-to-man, face up. We're not a big cut team, and we don't rely on the cut block, and so it should have changed a lot for us. Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you, guys. Appreciate what you do.
That is Kirby Smart, the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. They're the reigning national champions. We'll talk about Georgia a little bit more coming up on the show, but wanted to deliver some news here that we have gotten here at SEC Media Days. That Texas A&M senior wide receiver Anaya Smith, who has been scheduled to appear at SEC Media Days Thursday, was arrested early Wednesday on charges of driving while intoxicated, unlawful carrying of a weapon, and marijuana possession less than 2 ounces. He's a team captain from 2021. He led the Aggies in both receptions and touchdown catches. Defensive back Damani Richardson, offensive lineman Layden Robinson, and Smith were set to join Jimbo Fisher on Thursday here in Atlanta. And Smith is the second prominent Texas A&M receiver to be arrested during this offseason in In March, Damon Demas was arrested on an assault family violence charge and was removed from the team before entering the transfer portal. We'll bring you more news as we get it here, and we've got more SEC Media Days on the way after the break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Wow.
Diamond Danny's in the house. What's happening,
How
Danny?
you doing, man?
Well, you're just hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Good, good. You ready? Pretty good interview there, wasn't it?
Yeah. A lot of stuff here we could chat about for a few minutes. Thank you guys for stopping by the Matt and Todd Show, the best dang duo on YouTube and going around anywhere. Covering some SEC Media Day, Day 3. We've got in the books here for Primetime Sports Network. That's primetime_SEC at Twitter. You can find us on Instagram also, and of course on our Facebook page. Share lots of news over there. Dean's over there always putting up something. So
I got to do that here in a minute. I got to put up some more today.
Well, they were just talking about the news, and we don't have to in depth in it. You just feel bad for the young guys that are involved, and because trust me, I'm not judging them because I was just like them when I was that age.
Right.
I was hoodlum, and
21 years old.
I was doing the same thing. So maybe this will be a wake up call for them, and the good Lord will deal with their heart.
I'm assuming he won't be playing this year, I would think. Maybe if it had just been driving, with the gun charge and the drug charge too. So I wouldn't look for him to play that. We're talking about A&M's
Anaya Smith.
Anaya Smith.
He's good too.
Yeah, he is. He was supposed to be there.
Probably their top receiver.
Go to, yeah. So, and they don't help them much. New quarterback, which he played at LSU last year, and now their receiver gone. So, I don't know. I mean, everybody acts like they're supposed to be very, very good. I just don't. I'm not saying they won't be good, but I don't see them making a push for the SEC top.
No, yeah. So
talking about Texas A&M.
Yeah, the first feeling you have about that kind of situation with them is, sorry. I feel sorry for them because I've been there and done it. Thank God I wasn't arrested for none of the drinking and being wild and stuff that I did when I was young. And we'll pray for him, and good Lord deal with him.
Yeah,
and then he could bring him through on the other side of this, and he could go out and do something better than what he had going on there for him. And hey, he just got caught.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's not the only one.
No, he just was the unlucky one to get caught.
I'm sure he'll play again, just maybe not this year.
Now with Georgia, then they got 7 offensive guys coming back, which is good. But all that talent they lost to the NFL, they got 3 coming back on defense. 3.
Yeah, that's not. I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen about their offense, especially these tight ends. They're going to be strong on offense, but and I don't think their schedule's too bad.
No, it's very favorable.
Very favorable, I think. Gosh, they can go. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't lose a ball game.
Yeah, some people's trying to find a loss for them this year, and some people over on Twitter or whatever on the panel also. We were trying to pick, like, for the SEC overall, Bama's 1, Georgia's 2. They're trying to pick that 3rd team. I personally like Arkansas.
Right.
So let's see what old Coach P's going to say here.
Pittman, all right.
Let's see what he's got to say. I like him.
No, yeah, he's a good guy.
If he got in trouble for that, but he got in trouble for that. So anyway, when you think about that game in Cincinnati, what comes to mind with what you'll face right out of the gate? No stranger to a difficult schedule.
Well, Coach Pickle is a wonderful coach. Obviously, they've lost 9 guys to the NFL. But they've been recruiting. He's there. He was an old high school wrestler. I got to know him at the AFCA convention for a short time because there was 5 of us who walked out there to get Coach of the Year. And by the time I got on the X of the deal, they'd already announced him as the head coach. I didn't want to award. Walked on backstage. But I got an opportunity to sit down and talk to him. I really like the man. He's a driven guy. Like I say, wrestlers are different now. Those are high school college wrestlers. And so I know he's going to have them ready to go.
We'll have our team ready to go. We have ultimate respect for everybody, you know, and so we'll have them ready to go. But at 2:30 on Saturday, and now SEC Nation's going to be there, Network's going to be there. We're really excited to be a part of it.
You mentioned Traylon Burks, obviously, we mentioned him on offense. And you mentioned two guys, Jaden Hazelwood and Matt Landers, who I believe was at Georgia with you long ago before Toledo. Tell me a little bit more about those two guys. I know you said receiver by committee, but what do those guys bring to the table?
Well, I think if you guys obviously played and all those things, Hazelwood has not achieved what out of high school they say he was going to achieve. So I'm saying that's a hungry man. And he's also a very talented guy, but he's hungry. Matt Landers is the same way. Now, you can go down a list of reasons why. I don't care. All I want is I want that performance. We want that performance out of them next year. The way they have worked in the offseason and this summer, I believe that they'll be poised to do that. I think they both have to do well for us to replace Burks. Penn State scares the heck out of you because we threw for 103 yards in the game. That scares you. But we also rushed for 300 and some yards. So you got to take the good with the bad in there. But football team, you want to throw it when it's time to throw it. You want to run it when it's time to run it. We did not do that at Penn State. We only had 3 weeks now to prepare for that because of Burks. Now we've had, obviously, spring ball, summer. I believe that we'll replace him by committee. I have a lot of faith in our wide receiver. And our wide receiver room looks like a wide receiver room. You know, it doesn't look like a high school football team.
I love my coach. One of the most important relationships is between a head coach and their starting quarterback. I heard a story a couple years ago when you got to Arkansas about a conversation you had with KJ Jefferson. I think he was maybe even thinking about transferring. He ended up staying, obviously, and we marvel at how he's played. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with him?
Yeah, loyalty works both ways. You know, a lot of times we talk about loyalty and they say you to me. Well, I got to be loyal to you too. We had an opportunity to go into the portal. This was right before the Missouri game. KJ's first start 2 years ago. We didn't win the game, but we scored 48 points. On the way back, I had browsed to call the same recruit that we had talked to on the way up to the Missouri game and asked him to text him and tell him we weren't in the business for the quarterback. Loyalty works both ways. KJ knows that as well. But he's such a likable guy. You root for him. I mean, I'm assuming people that aren't Razorback fans, unless we're playing their team, roots for the guy. He's easy to root for. He's he's a one guy that no defensive lineman, they don't come close to him at practice. Now, I've been around, I'm coaching a line, you know, and there's a lot of guys getting around quarterback, and they're getting me chewed out, you know, since I'm the O-line coach. But nobody gets around him. They all respect the guy, which they should. But he's earned everything that he's got. He's got a chip on his. He's Arkansas. We all have a chip on our shoulder. We all, you know, there'll be a article that comes out, or somebody will say we're third best team in the SEC.
Did you say that?
I said second.
And then somebody will say that FBI will say we're the seventh best team in the West.
Oh, that is.
I will show the kids the seventh best team in the West. Because that's who we are. We're loyal, we're hardworking, and we're tough. And that's what we want to be known. Thank you, by the way, for saying so sharp.
So, a little red in there for you. So, Coach, you talking about loyalty and, you know, keeping all three of your coordinators. Yeah. And so, with all the production on your defense, leaving the party after these 5-6 years, how's it going to work out? Well, because you've had these guys behind these guys for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, how is that going to help you guys have all the loyalty and your coordinators staying around?
Bumper pool coming back was huge for us. Yeah. Huge for us. You know, he started one game last year for us. I mean, he did. And he led the team in tackles at 125. Now, Drew Sanders coming in. Huge get for us. Dwight McLaughlin. Let me say this, if talking makes you a good player, he's going to win the freaking gold. So the pieces, we're getting Catalan back. So that's kind of like a guy transferring back in the portal because we lost him for 6 weeks. Blair's back, Slusher's back. We have Johnson's back. We've got McCool, we got Brady. So all these things are going to help us. I think our defense, what do we need? We need pass rushers. So we went out and tried to get Landon Jackson, Dorian Gerald's coming back, Jordan Dominic is there, along with Zach Williams and Shot Stewart, the guys we had. Bottom line is, I think we're going to be much better on defense than what we were last year, according to what I saw in spring ball. And when we went in the portal to get people, when they got in the portal, we got who we wanted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you filled the holes that you wanted to fill with the guys you wanted to fill them with. When you think about Arkansas, you just understand it so well and what it means to the fans and what you've already built. How do you continue to live up to the expectations that you created? Because this is on you in a really good way. How do you keep that going?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because really I meant what I said. One of our goals every year is to make the state of Arkansas proud of us. I mean, that's a big deal. Now, we're not make them all, but that's a big deal, and that should be a goal for everybody. You want whoever you're doing it for, you want to make them proud of you. But I think as long as we got to win, but I think as long as we have good kids that play hard, that are well coached, that understand the game, understand the situation. You look at 2-minute last year. I think we were one of the better teams in 2-minute and 4-minute in the country last year. The Ole Miss game, they threw one over our head, and there was 1:14 left on the headset. I said they just did us a favor. They were going to score at some point, and the game had dictated that, and we went right down and scored on the last play. Unfortunately for us, we didn't make the 2-point. But as long as we had situation football and we're good, and it looks, and the state wants people to be proud of the Razorback. Lake, they come by, call the hog, all kinds of stuff. So
wait, what do you mean, like a real hog, or it's a?
No, it's a bronze hog.
Oh,
There's two of them. Regular 7-foot hog, and then another one, and that's set. You ought to look it up.
I need to look it up. I have to
You have to.
I do. Well, yeah, I do.
You don't have to follow me. Just Coach Sam.
No, I do.
On there. I'm going to tell you right now, it's back in the hog. It rolls out of the hog's mouth.
Right now. You keep asking questions. I got to find the hog.
You're going to talk a lot of football. I feel like you got, you just mentioned the lake. I feel like you got a nice base stand going. Did you do anything over the last couple of weeks? You got some time off?
You got this much surface. You're going to get tan. But I went down to Florida. To Rosemary Beach. Different world down there, by the way. It's you got to go 38? Yeah, 30 minutes. So I was trying to keep my weight down, coming to be on this, and then I'm done with all these fancy restaurants down here. It didn't work out too good. But I went down on the beach, and I didn't wear a hat, and boy, I got all kinds of stuff going on. But
what was the best thing you ate?
There was a whole bunch of it. The list. But they got the best fish down there, best grouper down there, and all that kind of stuff. Then I had a skillet steak down there. I don't think it was maybe at 38. Went to Red Bar.
I love Red Bar.
Great
that grit cake there is so good.
Yes.
Some of these people, Jordan doesn't know about grit because he's a Cali boy.
I don't think we know about this place.
Hey, I found this is awesome. Quickly, a follow-up question here. What are their names? Because one's the big one and the little one.
We don't have names for them, though. I'm telling you.
Twitter, then tweet us the names. That would be fun.
2 boys.
2 boy names. You got 2 boy names. Got it.
Speaking of hogs, we got to ask them about hogs. How about your O-line? Yeah. A lot of people overlook O-line play. It's not glamorous. We don't know all their names all the time. What excites you about this group? Love them. We've got 4 starters coming back. Luke Jones played for us last year. We kind of slotted him in at left tackle. Crocker is going to be a guy that's going to play somewhere in there. This guy's an exceptional football player. Had a great offseason. But what excites me is Ricky Stromberg, the center. He runs that thing. Dalton Wagner came back for a COVID year, but Ricky got two really good guards coming in. But they led the Power 5 in rushing now. You know, that's hard to do. And 4 of the 5's coming back with all the running backs. And, of course, the number one rusher we had is KJ Jefferson. So, well, they excite the heck out of me. They got a great football coach in Cody Kendi. Great coach. Great coach.
So, Coach, before we let you go, I feel like you're a real fashionable guy, and you were commenting on Jordan's suit. I wonder if you could just maybe bring down the outfits here on the set from your point of view and what you think these guys are working with here today.
Well, there's a lot of jealousy going on. Yeah. I can't do what he's doing right there with the polka dots and the stripes and all that. Oh, my friend, that's bad to the bone. And this collar right, this thing right here. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I want. The white pocket.
You got a both in there?
No. I asked Jamie.
No, I like the red. It's red. Red's better.
Hold on.
Now you messed them all up. Yeah, there you go.
Super sharp. Now, right here, this man right here can go to the prom, to a party, right, to his own wedding. You could have done that at your wedding, and you've been still looking the best on everybody.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, this right here, I can't comment on you, so I'm coming to and right here, come on, guys. Let's go. Sharp.
Didn't wear red, though, so he's a little biased.
Yeah, the buttons on Jordan's suit, though. It's all about the little
He's got there's like the pearl in that.
Yeah.
All right, can't hide money. Thank you so much, Coach Pittman. We appreciate you. We cannot wait to see you week 1 for SEC Nation in Fayetteville.
I'm so excited you're doing that.
We will be there. All right, we got more coming your way here from SEC Media Days as we carry on. Man, we got some legends in this conference. Some of our favorite people. Look at you, Coach, you're on the big board out there.
About that is. Not ladies.
Mean, not lean, what Coach Pittman said, Dean. He's mean, but not lean. I can completely agree with that.
I don't know. They got a tough schedule. 13th, they only got 11 starters coming back, which he did say that they did well in the portal.
Yes. They picked up all the people they need to pick up. 9 people in the portal that were number 1. I'm talking about attendance, so for crowds and stuff, they were number 1 in the SEC.
Really?
For as far as attendance for football games. I got them as the 3rd best team. I mean, I don't know who else is Kentucky.
Yeah, possibly.
They're with the kids that A&M has, some people have them, but when you look at these percentages, it shows percentages to win the SEC over here on the side of the screen.
Arkansas's not even there.
No. How could they not be over Auburn? Auburn, they didn't even recruit nobody. All they got was a few kids in the portal. They got new coaches. There's a lot of crap going on down there at Auburn. I have no idea how they couldn't be.
I would think that A&M and Arkansas would be 3rd and 4th. Maybe Tennessee. I don't know. I could see them going 8-4. I was looking at their schedule.
Yeah.
I could see them going 8-4.
9-3 would if they win 10 games this year.
Oh yeah, that's overachieving.
Yeah, it is.
9-3 maybe with that schedule.
Yeah, because week 1, Cincinnati to play at 2:30 on ESPN.
It's not going to be easy. Then turn around and play South Carolina.
October 1, they got Bama at home. October 15th, they traveled to BYU, and BYU brought back a lot of players. I think they win that game, but
they're not bad.
And then November 5th will be Coach at Liberty. They'll get to go out there and play them. That'll be.
They play Liberty. Oh, I didn't even see that.
That'll be a fun game. That'll be 1st of November. Now KJ Jefferson comes back, 2,600 passing, 664 rushing. He's the newest epitome of dual threat.
Yeah, he had a good year, 3,300 yards off.
Coach Pittman said that he's a kid that you root for. Yeah, I know what you do. I don't know something about him. You just root for him. You want him to be
big guy.
Yeah, you want him to be good.
Yeah.
You don't hear nothing about him.
No.
Good grades, good kid. those are all the things that you like to hear. Now they went 4-4 in the SEC last year, so if they could clean that up, like you said, they should have beat Ole Miss. So they should have been what
9-3.
Yeah,
or 10-3, whatever.
5-3 in the conference.
5-3 in the conference.
In the conference,
yeah.
that's dude, that's a tough conference.
It is.
You're playing game in, game out. They did beat Penn State and they beat LSU, Missouri. So those are big classic games I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, right beside Missouri.
Yeah. And for recruiting, and I think going out there and they asked him in his time there on stage about playing Oklahoma and Texas being part of that. Yeah, if you get to take your brand of football out of your state over west, that is good.
Oh yeah,
because they'll play at Texas sometime. They'll be at Oklahoma and playing at Missouri.
We used to play them all the time in the
Big 8.
Southwest. Well, not all the time, but
yeah, they were in their area.
Yeah,
Southwest Conference.
Texas. Yeah, I don't think Oklahoma was in the Big 8, but they got to play Texas every year. Yeah.
Yeah. Bumper Pool, we talked about him. We like him.
Didn't start but one game. Obviously, they brought him in the second play of every game.
He got 125 tackles.
He's got 350 in his career. That's that though. Tim Grace starting. Tim had gotten some trouble back in school. Nothing major, but just a disagreement with the coach. And he said, "Well, you're going to be benched. I'm going to start the game." Well, heck, he'd go in the second series, So
just didn't let him start.
Just didn't let him start, and I think that's might have been what happened with Bumper Pool.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe not that same situation.
He's going to end up with, he could end up with 400 over easy. I mean, 400 something tackles.
Oh yeah, he will. He will.
No doubt. Barring injury,
maybe one of the top 10 tacklers in SEC history. He's not very big either, is he?
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's 5'4", 130, but he's not huge.
Yeah, he looks bigger in suit when we seen him come in than he does in pads.
He's not the size of a Nakobe Dean or anything like that, or C.J. Mosley, or
he's bigger Mosley. Really small.
Really? Well, I mean, a Hightower, McLean. Yeah, no. I mean, McLean.
Yeah, no, them guys.
Not Mosley, McLean.
They were freaky Dick Butkus award winning big old monster guys. And then they play Auburn the Halloween weekend. But yeah, at Auburn. See, I wouldn't. When you pick them to win that game, who wouldn't pick them to beat Auburn? So how could Auburn be? I don't know. And not just Auburn. I'm not picking on them, but
I would think they would be a little. I would think top 5: Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas, and A&M right now.
Yeah,
that's just my personal.
South Carolina, Leo Spikes yesterday. I talked about that.
Did they beat Georgia?
Yeah. What about that?
Yeah, I saw that. That's kind of odd.
Well, I mean, I guess everybody's entitled to their own.
Possible. I mean, that could be Rattler's coming out party,
It could be. Now, with playing, the points that people were making over on Twitter was, how could he be better playing with a team that don't have as good of weapons? And you don't assume that Beamer is a better QB guru than Riley. So just by equating those two things to the conversation, those are true statements.
Right. They're supposed to be a better team.
Yeah. In Georgia, Kirby Smart said the things that he were looking to do to keep them on a schedule of trying to repeat. Because it's hard to repeat. Now, when you won the title. Now the title, it's on your back. So he talked about recruiting. Which they missed out on some recruits. They missed out on like the number 1 back in the state. He went somewhere else. But they want to stay relevant. What they're trying to do. He also mentioned the word experience is key, and it is. And this team, and he said it just like Coach Saban used to say it. This team ain't won nothing. They ain't won one game yet.
Right.
This is a new team. Yeah. So experience is something that we have to gain game by game. So it's up to them to be a matter of fact. We got to challenge each other to win one game at a time. September 3rd versus Oregon, 2:30 on ABC.
That's a tough starting game. That's a tough. Where's it at?
It's be like the Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay, so it's a neutral.
Yeah.
Well,
it's Atlanta.
Well, they're not really neutral for Oregon.
But. Yeah.
You can't have them both going halfway across the country and meeting in the middle.
You got Bo Nix.
Yeah,
Back to the
that'd be
SEC.
interesting.
And you got his assistant, the head coach up there.
Oh yeah, Lanning.
Yeah, because they lost four. They got 4 new guys on staff. Now this is Muschamp's second year with Kirby there, and he bragged on him, said he's done a good job. Now, as far as winning the East, the one under them is Kentucky. Says they have a 6% chance to win the East. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Kentucky's the third best team in the East.
You like Tennessee?
Yeah, I like Tennessee second.
I
think Florida's going to be a little better than people think.
Maybe.
I'm going to say Kentucky and Florida fight for that third. But you got South Carolina, too, that's supposed to be better. So this predicting is not easy.
No, it's not.
Who did we put? Who did I just put second?
Kentucky. That's
Tennessee, Georgia, Tennessee, and I just don't see. I don't know, Georgia, Tennessee.
That's kind of who they have.
Kentucky, Florida, South Carolina.
That's who they have picked. By percentage wise.
Right. Who's the team I got? Teams I got left out: Missouri and Vandy.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll stick with
Missouri's
that right now.
Missouri be better.
I'll stick with that right now. I don't know that on paper. Now, Auburn may be good. Somebody made a good point the other day that a lot of times Auburn doesn't look like they're going to be very good, but they end up being very good.
Well,
being good.
They're going to have to win a line of scrimmage because they're going to have to give Tank room to run because he can cut it up. No doubt. Tank, he went over. He's almost right at 1,200 yards last year.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to control that line of scrimmage. So that's where it's going to be at.
I just, I don't see. I'll be shocked if they're very, very good. But, you never know. I don't know about them, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. As far as being the top teams, obviously, I think Alabama will be one. And I'm going to pick Arkansas, too, especially with the developments that happened in with A&M today.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That changes your pick because, you're going to be after a top receiver.
Of course, you finish 7th in the West and the SEC, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're terrible.
No, you probably win.
It's not a compliment to finish 7th, but you could actually be decent.
Yeah, if you can win 6 or 7 games, you still go to a bowl game.
They may all beat up on each other. That's what I think is going to happen in the West. And probably the East, too.
Yeah, for the East, now, Stetson Bennett, you returning national champion quarterback. 86% QBR last season. Coming back, Kirby said he feels better about him this year because feels like he's got a better supporting staff. When you're the starter, that has to make him feel a little different than going into the season thinking, well, maybe I'm the guy, and it kind of makes you nervous. But who steps up in those times of need? And he did. They talked about it there in the interview. He went like 4 for 4 and drove them down the field.
I remember that drive.
And won the game.
Well, the drive before, too, where he threw all those deep balls.
It was good defense. We watched the game, and it was covered up. Their receivers went up and took the ball away.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They made plays when they had to.
It's almost like Monken said, all right, if we're going to win this game, we're going to have to go right at him. If he throws an interception, we lose. Yeah, we got to try.
These young corners, you got guys out injured.
Yeah, we had Job was out, I think. And
throw it over there. Make these young guys go learn it today. And they protected well. They was all over them. They were fighting over the ball when they hit the ground.
They're talking about.
Oh, Sankey.
No, they're talking about they got Auburn stats there.
Oh, yeah, Finley and Tank went almost 1,100 yards. We're curious to see how Calzada does. Let's see what Sankey has to say for a few minutes before we get off here.
The season and Delonte Smith individually and Mac Jones. Mac was part of helping us play, and Delonte was on no one's Heisman watch list when that season began. And if you don't try, that doesn't happen. And Kentucky women's volleyball is a really good example that year as well. The things that didn't happen. So it's pretty cool to see LSU, Alabama, Georgia national championships in football. But to walk through that and just be reminded gives you just a moment if you're me.
You still running on a daily basis?
Yeah, I was out there 3.5 miles this morning yesterday. It rained on me.
You started those sports. You started that during COVID, didn't you?
Did, yeah. It's like mid-April, and then I went 502 straight days of running.
Wow.
And it ended in August of last year, but I think I'm about 7 consecutive days. I'll take a day off here and there. I did a stand-up paddleboard last Thursday instead of running.
It's not that really hard, actually. What's been more difficult, the COVID landscape that you had to navigate a lot of college football through, or this new realignment landscape that it's ever changed? I'm sure your phone is blowing up just as much, if not more now.
COVID, but COVID, the great thing about life is what you learn through experiences. So the ability to deal better with pressures and uncertainty was something that I had to deal with through the summer of 2020. And then as you go into expansion issues and varying opinions and unknowns, that's like, it creates its own tension, but I would rather, I guess, deal with that than
Here's a dumb follow-up, just because as a college football fan, sit back and we see Texas and Oklahoma slated to come join us in 2025. And I'm just thinking, with the money that goes around, does it ever get to a situation where the SEC can or would, or is this even a scenario that's possible, assist in some of the buyouts to get a team or a couple teams here earlier, because what that would mean for TV packages, greater money for the rest of the schools? Or is it kind of just, that's their deal. If they're here in 25, great. If not, we're happy with where it is.
There really are 3 points. First, and this is one of the fundamentals. The cool thing about the approach from Texas and Oklahoma, they never ask you about money. We've watched how you guys have made decisions, how you function, how you support college sports. We want to be a part of that, right? And so money shouldn't lead; it should follow in one's decision making. So that's first. 2025 is there because of their agreements. And our president has said we're not going to disrupt our own revenue distribution to just add members, right? And that's regardless of the two current or the future. And the nature of the relationships means they have to resolve that between the University of Texas, University of Oklahoma, and the Big 12 Conference. And we've said from the beginning we're going to be respectful and set up an orderly transition, and that's what we're prepared to do.
Yeah, two things. Number one, 3 miles is impressive. That's like, my limit is like 2.5, and then the body starts to feel terrible. Number two, let's stay on the topic of the realignment, because a lot of the conversation that I found amongst college football fans and barbershops everywhere is, are we going to lose certain rivalries? Are certain games going to go away? Can you just speak a little bit to the quality of football, and if you foresee these rivalries disappearing, and if they do, what does that mean for the college football?
But our expansion actually adds rivalries back. So you have the in-state rivalry involving Texas A&M and Texas. People forget the history that exists between Arkansas and Texas, and dating back to just incredible games in the 60s, and having been there in Fayetteville last fall for the game, and it got a little bit more active on the field after the game than we liked, but that's an enthusiasm. As we look at our scheduling model, we have the opportunity to protect long-standing rivalries. Now, the question is going to be, do we protect those and play those every year, or are they going to be played every other year? What I think we've come to is a recognition that we can't go 12 years between a school visiting another school's stadium, and so we're going to shorten that time frame. That contemplates a single division alignment, and then the decision is at 8 or 9 games. And so that's to be made. But for our purposes, it's a great question. And we have the opportunity to add rivalries. And I'll just add, you forget that Oklahoma and Missouri were longtime members of the Big 8 Conference, and we'll have a quarter of the old Big 8 Conference and restoring a game that was played annually there when we expand through the addition of Oklahoma and the combination of Missouri being in the league.
Now, Mitch, I got two questions. One's funny, one's not.
It's an intimidating style.
Yeah. The first one is not. So, with NIL, you hear all these coaches, they all love it. Oh, I like NIL. Do they really mean that? And I also heard from Kirby, he said, the thing with NIL that's the problem is using it to induce players to come to your school is not good for anyone. I want to know your opinion.
There are many good stories around name, image, and likeness activity. And those are there for both women and for men who are college athletes. It's new, so it's uncomfortable.
Right.
Our coaches were unequivocal and unanimous that we needed to do everything we can to take the inducement activity, the booster activity out of recruiting. And some of what I've been told that manifested itself is not actual name, image, likeness activity, but just come here for this. What we want is actual name, image, and likeness activity. That's a business activity. And our student athletes have asked us for that. And they've asked us to support uniformity across the country because they're dealing with confusion. And you guys have been there. You're 18 years old. You got a bunch of people coming at you. You're trying to figure out your role on a team. And now you have this added. And as you're being recruited, you're trying to figure out different state laws, or if there's no state law, what are the different policies on each campus? I think that's enormously unfair to young people and their families trying to make a lifetime decision. I think embedded in your question, too, is you have all of this influx without the support structure. That's actually a threat to people. Right? Kearis Jackson spoke to our spring meetings about making biscuits at Bojangles as part of that NIL deal. And he talked about building your brand once you're on campus as part of that. Kearis could be a really good faculty member teaching NIL and how to use it properly.
You mentioned about the 8 or 9 games decision. I wonder if you can explain to people a little bit more about how the decision with the college football playoff and their potential expansion influences what will be decided when it comes to the actual structure of schedules before that.
It's a factor. In fact, when we were in Destin talking through a variety of issues, the unknowns and trying to answer unknowns was part of the conversation. So going back to like the learning of COVID, you realize if you take time, you'll gather better information. We just may not know everything. So the timeline of the college football playoff decision may not match up with our needs to make a decision about our scheduling attitude, our scheduling direction.
Right.
And that influences the attitudes in that decision making. But we've seen in the last 3 weeks a piece of information we never anticipated popping with conference expansion. And so what I think it says is we're really wise to wait the extent we can. We don't want to wait too long because the issue is really non-conference scheduling. If you say at 8 games, the onset of that for non-conference purposes is pretty easy because we're at 8 conference games. If you go to 9, then you have to make adjustments, and the more lead time we have, the better. And that's really the time pressure point.
We appreciate you so much, Mr. Craig. Thank you for joining us up here. You already ran today, right? So you don't have to go again?
I did, and like, it hurts for me the first 100 yards. The third right now is hurting quickly because it was. You don't see it.
Yeah,
I feel like you're.
Yeah, it felt like it runs on my knees still.
Conventions is a stronger athlete than you are. I think that's
also. Me too. That's I'm going to distance myself.
Okay, we got more coming your way here, so keep it right here. Again, thanks to the commissioner. You see, Bennett, the national champion, here arriving and seeing the fans. I think he's saying that he can't give autographs. That's because he's headed in to do a bunch of interviews. Look at him at the podium. That's going on right now next to us, answering all the questions for the media here. We'll be right back from Atlanta.
All right, I've changed my mind after what I just saw. I am going to put Kentucky that 3rd and Florida 4th. God, their schedule's horrible. Florida's schedule's bad.
Yeah.
They start out with Utah.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if they can win that one.
No.
It's not a foregone conclusion that Florida's going to beat Utah. It's not like, all right, let's see, first game here, Utah. Yep, that's Florida.
That's a gimme. 38-0.
Yeah, no. I mean, it could, I don't know, man.
Yeah, they just got a tough schedule. I mean, tougher than Kentucky's, and that's just part of it, you know. But no, there's no way I don't even know if I'll put them 4th now.
Talking about a hard schedule, on-road travel games and stuff for Auburn this year. Dude,
it's awful.
Yeah, I don't know. If they win 7 games, it's a win.
Yeah,
it's impossible. They host Penn State this year. And Penn State's not no world beater, but
they're not bad.
The competitive matchup that they're going to face for Auburn, that's I mean, come on, neither one of them just killed the recruiting trail, but
no,
it's going to be kind of even. I'm kind of curious to see. I favor Auburn because it's played at home, and we know what happens down there. They'll have some ball bounce off the cheerleader's head and put up in the stand, and some guy will catch it in a cup and throw it back on the field, and it's touchdown Auburn. They win.
Right. They've had some. One year they did anyway. They've had some. But you got to factor that stuff in too. You know, you have crazy stuff happen. We watched Auburn and Kentucky play one time, and Kentucky guy get, you tell me, full yard into the end zone, was he not?
Oh yeah.
And they said he didn't get in. Kentucky loses the ball game.
That's terrible. That's just bad reffing.
I'm not using that against Auburn. I'm talking about in all games. You got stuff like that takes place.
Yeah.
But as far as their scheduling, I know somebody's saying, well, how's Kentucky got a tougher schedule than Florida? They both play in the East. Well, Florida plays Utah and Florida State.
Yeah.
That's two of their out-of-conference games. That's not easy.
Yeah, Utah's better than Florida State, too.
Yeah. And, you know, that Florida State game can go either way, so I'm leaning towards Florida being my fifth in the East. I mean, as of right now, you know.
Now, Commish Sankey was on there at the end talking with the group there, and he kind of went into NIL talk and to say it's not the idea of there are some bad out there, and all the other coaches have spoken about how this is my point to it. These boosters, he said we're trying to keep the boosters out of it. You know, we both said, well, there's no way.
What are you going to do? I mean, can you put a wire on every booster?
There's no way.
That would be the only way.
Boosters have been paying players for how long?
No, I mean, I guess.
As long as we've been playing football.
Yeah.
I mean, forever.
They might have started in 1920.
Yeah, I mean, kids get paid. I mean, good Lord, they had grown men playing high school football back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'd be in their 20s.
Yeah, so.
Scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, the deal with college players getting paid, there's just no way to sanction it, and that's what Coach Kiffin went on about yesterday, about how we need to have some kind of cap and to be able to allocate this money, you need to have, the coaches don't want to do that. There needs to be somebody over it. Why would a coach want to be over NIL money? He's got enough things going on.
No,
He's trying to win
That's smart. I didn't realize that.
No,
they have
be over that.
So they've got a coach or some kind of guy setting the program that's over that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's somebody there that kind of looks out for it, or, you know, a lot of the teams now are hiring GMs, they're hiring general managers to have somebody to kind of look out for the money. So NIL is not going to go away, and it is good in some ways. It has been fortunate. They named some situations there with a guy down in South Georgia, and his daddy's on chemo or something, and the money helped for him to be able to stay and play so he can take care of his dad. And there's a lot of good stories out there, and the good stories do get overlooked. They do, because of all the bad. But what are you going to do about it?
Well, like I said, how many boosters are with each college program?
A lot.
Okay. So you're going to put a wire on every one of them? And who's going to listen to the wire?
No.
I mean, there's no way. I'm just being silly. There's no way.
No, of course there's not. Now, talking about that word that we've used here in the past week or two, competitive balance.
Mm-hmm.
The whole topic, the key point to that is schools that can and can't pay this NIL money.
Right.
So
Toledo's not going to be able to pay what Alabama.
Right. So here's my idea. When we go to a bigger conference, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Texas and Oklahoma.
It'll be a while, but it'll happen.
Texas and Oklahoma is coming. It's coming to the SEC. That's a sure thing.
UCSC and UCLA, and that's a sure thing, right?
So here's my suggestion. Tell me what you think. I put this out yesterday. We'll use in-state first. Alabama and Auburn. You know, he was talking about playing 8 or 9 teams and how you would adjust. Well, if they have a 10-game season, right, regular 10-game season, you play 9 conference games, well, that leaves 1 open game. Well, why don't we play 8, have a bye week whenever they want to pick it, and the other game, I think Alabama, for example, I'm just using them because they're our local team, could play Alabama A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And Auburn could play, they played JSU before.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Talking
about play a mid-major.
Yes, and each state from up north. Now, I don't just mean in football either. We need to do this across all the sports. Girls basketball, volleyball, soccer, wrestling, all the sports. Keep it in state. So that way, I'm trying to figure out a way to try to balance out some of this. Well, the smaller schools are just going to run out of money somehow because it's not sustainable. That's what Kirby said. It's not sustainable to say, we're going to pay this kid $9 million down there at Miami to come down here and play football. You can't do that every year.
No.
So it is going to settle down. Benton talked about it. He mentioned that too, how things are going to, it'll cool off. So what do you think about that? Every state should have to play a one game. In all
what you're saying is they'll pay like Alabama plays Alabama, they pay them $2 million to play.
Yeah.
That way they keep their money.
And let's keep it in state. Look, why are we playing Arkansas State or Louisiana Monroe?
Right.
Let Arkansas play Arkansas State and let LSU play.
Right.
Yes, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And baseball, basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of teams got to be North and South Carolina.
Play UAB.
Mid-major teams, like ain't there it's like NC, A&T. Ain't there like an A&T team?
And you talking about North Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they got $1 million.
Yeah. So South Carolina, North Carolina Tar Heel teams.
Yeah.
Those are your major.
North Carolina A&T.
They're major brands.
North Carolina Charlotte. I mean, it's
Yeah. So, and North Carolina basketball is how big? College basketball.
Huge.
Huge. Let them play that North Carolina A&T or something. And then South Carolina to play the coastal team or something.
Right, coastal Carolina.
And baseball too. Dude, that coastal baseball team is good.
Oh yeah, coastal's good.
That's one of the Burgess boys. They went up there and had to do with all that baseball stuff back in the day. Brett, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So ask them how good baseball is up there in those mid-major teams. They're good.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I suggest. Georgia play Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern.
Put them on your schedule. Every team out west, California. How many small colleges?
And there's plenty of teams that you can do that.
How many's in California?
So you're saying
a lot.
All you're basically advocating is if you play a mid-major, play one from your state.
Got to play one in your state.
Unless obviously Vermont can't.
Well, there's going to be exceptions. You have to have the what I call the Andy Griffin rule, like where you don't carry a gun. You know,
Yeah.
The sheriff that don't carry a gun.
Yeah.
You have to have common sense.
We got to be common sense.
Yeah.
But yes, Michigan plays. Yes, I understand.
Illinois State.
Yeah, what you're saying.
Ohio State will play Illinois State.
Yeah.
Chicago,
Akron or something like
yes.
that. Yeah.
Everybody keep together. That's my idea.
That's not a bad idea.
And I know they won't ever do that because that just makes sense.
I
don't know why we don't anyway.
Cuts down on your travel.
Yeah, because you're taking.
You're helping out a team in your state.
That's the thing, because if that competitive balance, there's that word again. The teams that can't buy players, and they're not going to get scheduled into all these. Let's take care of our guys in our states. And I'm speaking to every state, even the Alaskan high salmons. They can play the mid-major.
They can play Anchorage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard much about football in Alaska. Do they have a football team?
It's pretty cold up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You'd have to have indoor.
Yeah, be an arena style.
You gotta have to be. I've never heard anything about it. Anybody know anything about Alaska football? Excuse me. About Alaska football? I mean, I know it's not big.
They ain't got no teams that I ever know of. They don't have no kind of sports teams. I couldn't think of any.
I saw a special.
See them playing soccer out there. I lost the ball. I can't see it. It's snowing.
Well, you got the 6 months of dark too. And,
it'd have to be inside if they did it.
But there may be football out there. I mean, I saw a special on TV the other day. Said there was a bunch of gangs out there. That's just hard to imagine.
What?
Bloods and Crips.
In Alaska.
In Anchorage. So they had an influx of them. I don't know. I wouldn't want to go.
He looks like a dude, don't he? Let's see what KJ's saying.
Is that the style you like to play?
He was good in high school, wasn't
What you looking for this year?
Yes, sir. That's style. I mean, just the swagger that he brings to the quarterback position. I mean, it's nothing like it. So that's what I bring.
So at that point, too, Sam Pittman's got to be part of this Thanksgiving dinner, okay? What other two other coaches in the SEC? Are there two other coaches you would invite to that Thanksgiving dinner or what?
Two other coaches. See, I said Nick Saban. Yeah, I bring Nick Saban. And
Stoops.
I say I bring Ooh.
You want Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart there?
Dabo Sweeney. No, Blake's got to be the SEC.
Thanksgiving dinner over here.
Lane Kiffin.
I go to Jimbo. Yeah, I bring Jimbo.
I'm sure that conversation will be good. There's a lot of conversation coming into this year about where you're rated. Are you underrated, my man?
I am. I feel like I am, but I mean, I don't try to too much dwell on it. I mean, I'm down worried about is playing ball and just getting back my team and just working.
Yeah. What is it that you're working on this year? Traylon Burks was such a big part of it. How do you keep that camaraderie around that team and that wide receiver room?
Just working each and every day with them. Just, you know what I'm saying, weekends, off days, I mean, nights. We all in there just all working out together. Just getting confidence into those young guys. And then just also just building chemistry, just time and make sure that everything, when it's game time, when we put on the show, everything looks smart, everything looks we're clicking on all cylinders.
That comes from watching a lot of film. So if you're not watching film and you're putting on Netflix or Disney or whatever you're doing, what are you watching that's not film?
I really don't even watch TV that much, but when I do watch TV, I'll be watching a little series called BMF. I watch that.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, not SEC now. We got to get you over here. You right there. You in?
I got you. I'm tuning in SEC now.
All right, you see, look, there it is. We can get you going, man. Hey, best of luck this entire season. All right.
Thank you.
KJ Jefferson, BMF, he watches. I've been keeping up with that pretty regular too. It's a great show.
Oh, BMF?
Yeah, I like it.
What is it?
I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
So I take it that like Jefferson and Burks don't just wait till August to start throwing to each other.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, no, they're throwing every day, right?
Yeah, losing him is going to be. It's a big miss for the team.
Is that Spags?
Yes.
I wonder if he can deadlift 300.
Yes.
With one hand?
Yes. He could, yeah. Mayhem commercial.
Mayhem. Boy, he'd be a good linebacker.
I was talking about him yesterday. I've watched TV forever, and there's some good commercials. The thinking process that went behind these Mayhem commercials, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Maurice does, you're the latest new hashtag. You're here dancing in the street, and the guy crashed on the back of that car.
And I'm not making fun of anybody because I think there was something else involved in it, but I'm coming through Cedar Bluff the other day, and there's a woman dancing on the side of the street, and she's doing the
hashtags. She's been hashtagging.
I mean,
TikTok video.
I don't know what she was doing, and the cops had pulled up right when I went by, and but she was doing something, some kind of dance. I don't know if she was doing that hashtag challenge.
She may be.
But you think about that, if me and you go out and do the hashtag challenge in Main Street, people are going to be looking.
Yes, they're going to be looking.
And they could cause a wreck.
Yes, that is true.
He makes good points. It's a little exaggerated, but you know, that's what makes it funny.
Mayhem's hilarious. I like those commercials. We're gonna get off here. Got a bunch of stuff to do for the rest of the day, so
we're
gonna be Stoops and Coach Napier will be the next two on. Check it out on SEC Network. Again, thank you guys for coming in for day 3. I'll be back in the morning. I think Coach Harson, is he coming on? Is he coming on first in the morning? Let me take a gander here to see what we got going on. Tomorrow is Thursday. Yes, in the morning, 8 o'clock, be here or be square. I'll be up here early drinking coffee with you guys. Bigsby will be in the house, Hall, and John Samuel Sneaker, Schenker. Where do these people come from? I've never seen these names. About Hall, yes. Bigsby, never heard of one. Sneaker. Sorry if I messed your name up there, John Samuel. That's his first name. So old JSS, he's going to be in there with them. And then next will be Coach Heifel. We'll be on for that one. And I'm going to try to stay around for Jim and Coach Fisher. He'll be on at 11:30. So it starts at 8. And Coach Heifel will be on at 9:30. I'm trying to definitely be there for that. At A&M, Coach Fisher, I may not get to be there to cover him, but I'm going to try to. So again, we thank you guys for coming by. The best dang sports duo going today, right here on YouTube for Primetime Sports Network. Big Matt and Diamond Dean, we're going to sign out.
And we're not doing the hashtag challenge.
No,
that was
no hashtag challenge.
Yeah.
All right, guys, y'all keep it real, and I'll be back live in the morning, 8 o'clock. We'll check it out and see what's going on. Enjoy the rest of your day. God bless, and keep your heads clear and your hearts full of God. Thank you.